Oh, you caught me in the middle of something. I started up the show and then realized I have to do an email. So give me 1 second. I'll try to talk while I'm doing the email. I'm emailing my merch guy because I was talking to Andrew Wilson. And he was like, you should have some merch for Nashville here. So I'm trying to do that. So let's see what I want. I'm just going to do one design. No whip shirts. Sorry. What can I do? Pictures. Is it under saved pictures? So, yeah. No, I know I have... What the heck is going on? I know we have more pictures than that. Oh, let's see. Let's see. All right, can't be done. Then I will. Thank you so much for your time. This is the worst spelled. If that can't be done, withing, that's not a word, would be, all right, close enough. All right, sorry about all that. So here's the deal. Here's why I'm all disheveled. The whole day gets turned on its head because the insurance adjuster for my car showed up this morning, and so everything's awry. I had a bunch of stuff that I was supposed to get done because when I leave here today, I got to pick up my son, and then from there, we're driving out to a friend's house outside of Pittsburgh, and we're going to do a big trick-or-treat thing. So we're trying to get together his costume, making sure it's good. I got him on the bus and all that stuff. Then I had a bunch of stuff I was supposed to do, some research behind the scenes, things like that. We called, if you missed the show last night, as I was rushing back, wasn't rushing, I guess, but as I was coming back from my in-laws' place, it was my father-in-law's birthday. So we had dinner with them, and as I was coming back, I hit a deer in my car. Now, my second car, the Dodge Journey, the alternator's out of. So now we have my wife's Subaru, right? And I'll show you a picture. So I hit this deer. Now you can see. Smashed it up pretty good. But everyone was fine. No one's hurt or anything. So then, of course, we try to put it into our insurance last night. They're like, call tomorrow. We call tomorrow. I shocked that they're like, yeah, we'll have someone out there. So I go downstairs. Me and my wife clean out the car. We're waiting for the insurance stuff. It was a buck. It was an 8-point. We're waiting for the insurance adjuster, and he wasn't there as if the time of me coming up. So that's why I'm like super disheveled. It is one of the downsides to doing so much streaming. There's real life stuff that comes up. And if you're trying to meet your obligations with streaming, it's like, well, when are you going to find time to do that real life stuff? So it's like, luckily I don't have the extravaganza today, but I'm going elsewhere. But it's like, a normal schedule for me this week was, I'm probably prepping about 7 debates behind the scenes. So I'm doing research and prepping that in addition to noon till about 2:30. I do the call-in show, pick up my son at 2:30. By the time we get home, it's like 3:30. Hang out with him till about 4:15. Go upstairs, do production work for the extravaganza. Extravaganza starts at 5, ends at 6. By the time you get done chatting with the guys afterwards, it's about 6:10, 6:15. Come downstairs, have dinner. 7:30 or so, coming up here, getting ready for debates, interviews, whatever, usually starting around 8:30. And then that will go straight into my show at 10, which then goes to about 2 to 3 a.m., depending on. And you go to bed, wake up, do it all over again. That's fine. It's not too much, except you hit a deer in your car. And you got to deal with an insurance guy. So I do apologize. Andrew destroying 5 people over at modern day debate. Let me see this. I bet this is that event that I went to like 2 months ago. I bet they just put it up. I was in the crowd. I was asked not to heckle. Was it on? Let's see. We don't need that. Yeah, this is definitely the event I was at. Yeah, he did very good, as I told you all. It was funny, that event. So I'll link that, and it was fun. I think James put on a good event there. But DebateCon's going to be much bigger. It's going to be more of a party-like atmosphere. So it's crazy. We get there, and that was the first time I'd met Andrew in person. So we get there, and part of my job's to, like, facilitate debate prompts and stuff like that Andrew might be willing to debate. So we get there, and we were basically told there were like 2 topics. I forget what it was. Christian nationalism was one in general, and I forget what the other was. Now, we assumed that the nature of how this would work would be the people in the chairs would get up and they would say, okay, on the topic of Christian nationalism, here's my prompt. And then Andrew would argue it. And like something got lost in the shuffle because we get there and it's like 5 minutes to start. And it's like, hey, what are your prompts? And Andrew's like, huh? And James is like, yeah, what are your prompts? And it turns out they wanted us to have 10 prompts apiece for each of the 2 topics. I have them written on my phone somewhere. So me and Andrew are like, oh shit. So like when you see Andrew kicking ass, just keep in mind that the prompts that came up with, the specific prompts that he's doing, were literally came up with like 2 minutes before the debate started. That's how like thin the time was on it. And it's no one's fault. It's in fact, if anyone's fault, it's my fault. Because in the back and forth communication, I was confused. I thought Andrew was just going to be like, I'll defend Christian nationalism. And then they would stand up and say, Christian nationalism is bad because of, blah, blah, blah. So it was Christian nationalism's good and Trump's not that bad. So prompts that we had was Christian nationalism is good to stop degeneracy in the country, to increase birth rates, push back against anti-whiteness and anti-Christian, to stop the left secular religion from governing, to stop the indoctrination of our children, to end baby murder, to make the family the center of our country, and to provide an unchanging standard which creates stability. And then Trump not that bad, we had he's not a fascist. His economic policies are good. He's doing what's necessary to secure the border. He's pushing for the will of the people. He has helped move the cultural conversation against LGBT and leftists. His opponents started a misuse of executive authority. He's no less immoral than lefty presidents. He broke the 2-party system. He's not too far right. He's not a woman. Trump is not sympathetic to the Austrian Painters Party. He's not racist. He's not misogynist. And he's not bigoted enough to the LGBT. So that's me and Andrew sat at a table in a Holiday Inn 5 minutes before the thing, and we're like, bam, 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 bam. Here's the prompts. So that's how it went. Now, our friend, Mr. Alley Cat, that you always see calling in, he was there. I met him in person for the first time. But I'd been waiting. I mean, man, you know how long ago that event was? That was, my goodness, 2.5 months ago? So I've been waiting for them to put that up. So I'll have to check it out and see how it edited and how it all looks on the final product there. But it's kind of funny because, there's a room 4 of us. Yeah, re-examination show. That's right. He was there as well. It was kind of funny because I'm not a production guy. That's not my thing, right? I'm a debate guy, right? And so for me, I kind of thought it'd be cool to have a little audience interaction, little heckling and like, oh yeah, stuff like that. Not obscene, but just a little like, good point or something like that. Some groans, some cheers, because I want it to be, my thing is, and I think DebateCon's going to be more of this. Why am I showing up to a debate event? Like, if I'm not debating, right? Why am I going? Right? I hope my audio is working. I think it's just you, Joe. Anyways, you have to, like, I could watch this debate, right? Like, here it is. I could watch this right now. Granted, it's a couple months later. But here we go.
Are you going to do about it? What has the secular mind gotten order?
I could watch the debate. And again, I'll put the link out. And by the way, all the best to Modern Day Debate and James. I'm so happy they put the event on. But why am I going to an event like this? What's the incentive? If it's just to see a debate, I can see that from my chair, right? Chances are, unless I live right in the area, I'm driving to some degree. I'm showing up. What's the point? Well, it's the same reason you have to ask yourself, why go to the baseball game when I could watch baseball on my 4K television? It's the atmosphere. You're getting something by attending the event that you're not getting at home. And so for me, it's like when you put on an event like that, you want it to kind of be like a party. Not drunken debauchery necessarily. That's not what I'm talking about. But you want to meet the debaters. You want to meet Andrew. You want to meet the 5 guys that were debating against him. You want to pick their brain. You want to meet other people that are interested in this type of stuff. You probably want to hang out. You want to eat good food. And yeah, you do want it to be sort of a party-like atmosphere. It's like going to a concert. You're not just buying the CD, you're going to the concert. There's an atmosphere there, right? And so I think that that's really what the attempts are going to be here at DebateCon. Yeah, it's going to be good debates, but it's also trying to create a community and an atmosphere, right? You're going to have the ability to go out to dinner with people and that are debating on all sides of the issue. So yeah, there were a couple times. Now, again, this has to do with the production thing, which I don't quite understand. Like, I don't know if you can tell by watching my show. I'm not the biggest production mind. My show is me, camera, click stream, here we go. And then fumbling through tech issues as half the people in my audience are like, yeah, hit Control F. Yeah, you hit print screen, like stuff like that I don't know anything, right? That's the way it goes. So I'm not here to criticize someone's production choices. But so I don't know what goes into you're trying to put together a very well-presented product that you're going to heavily edit and then put up. I don't know anything about that. But it did seem odd from a debate perspective. And I think that, re-examination show, I believe, which, if I remember who he is, was one of the debaters, he would probably agree with me. There were some hard cutoffs that I didn't agree with. Both cutting Andrew off mid-sentence and cutting the people that were talking to him off mid-sentence. It was like, well, you have 10 minutes per little segment, and sometimes someone's in a serious, important point. And it's like, okay, that's 10 minutes, cut it off. Now, that might be entirely necessary for what they knew they were going to put, it'd be the equivalent of you're making a movie. It's like, I might think it's weird when the director yells cut and was like, I don't know, I thought there was good stuff happening there. But they have a vision that's I can't see for the final product. But I did feel like that from the context of just a debate. Right, not Buckley style. Right. So, as far as I thought sometimes there were really good conversations happening that it was like, hey, we're getting into the meat here of like a serious disagreement in a good way. And then it was like, okay, that's time, cut off, next thing. And like the nature of the 10 minutes per person, the problem is sometimes like by the time you sort of define your terms and get a solid footing on what the other person's stance is, that's 6 minutes gone. And now it's like, oh, okay, now that we have like solid footing on each side, we know where each side's coming from. Now we could get into the argument. Oh, we have 4 minutes. And again, that's not a criticism of James, because James is putting together a show that he knows is the type of show that an audience wants to watch, and he has a specific vision for what's going on. And that's fine. And I haven't watched the video yet, so maybe the final product is very good. But from a debater standpoint, or a debate viewer, or a debate judge who's there live, it's a little jolting to be like, and that's it, cut off. It's like, oh, why not another 10 minutes for this one? It's going really well. Let's hear it. And then it's like, and again, take it for what it is. At some points we moved on and it was like, okay, here's a prompt. Not really many people have nothing to say. So it's like we sort of rushed along to get to some prompts that maybe weren't as entertaining as some of the ones we had previously. And people like re-examination there, I think we're just game to jump up, and maybe it wasn't the top issue that he wanted to argue with Andrew about, but it's like, well, no one's getting up, so it's like, I guess I'll try to argue this just for the love of the game, basically. But the more I would have had no problem if we stuck on one prompt the entire time, because everyone had interesting things to say on it. It's like, great, that's what you want. You want the person, Andrew, who's debating the 5 people, you want him to be talking about stuff he's interested in, and you also want the people that are coming up. And if it's like, well, we're going to limit it to 10 minutes per prompt, or 10 minutes per person on prompt, maybe that's everyone's favorite prompt, and they had a half hour of stuff to say on it. Anyways, that's it. Other than that, I thought that it was a fine event. It was a lot of fun. I was more than happy to be there. I thought the debates were very good. And I thought Andrew did very well. But that was it. Anyways, my underproduced, ill-prepared call-in show. Yeah, don't really have any topics lined up today. Let me see what I'd marked. I'm sure I marked something. We still haven't really talked about, which I think is a huge story, the Arctic Frost investigation. Now we have 430 Republicans, Republican entities, etc., that were basically spied on by the Democrats, by Jack Smith and company. So we could talk about that. I got some links to that if you want to see. The religion stuff we were talking about yesterday, more than happy to get back into that, with the caveat, I hope people understand that I would consider myself very ill-informed on the Bible. So I'm not here to change your mind, to promote a particular denomination. The conversation yesterday, if you missed it, was in more of a general conversation of, should particular denominations be highlighting the importance of their denomination being correct and saying others are incorrect? Or is it more important to just push people to say, get in the doors of reading the Bible, of accepting Christ? And I think both sides have solid answers on that, but I lean to the former in that I understand why, if Christianity is the most important thing in your life, and many Christians would say that's the case, and it should be the case, then isn't getting as close to the truth as possible very important? So what might seem like minute differences to people that aren't Christians or people from the outside actually become very important. And it's not necessary to claim that those differences are the difference in you achieving salvation or not. That's not the point. Of course, you should strive for salvation, but you should strive for more than that. You should strive to be the best person possible, knowing you'll never achieve it. None of us will. We'll all sin. But if that's what you're striving for, then you would always strive to learn more and to get closer to the truth, which means that these differences between the denominations, even if it seems petty, probably very important. And then certainly how some denominations could actually take things in a perverse way that would actually be antithetical to what you actually believe the Bible teaches. So now, having said that, it's an odd position for me to have, given that I don't even have a denomination really that I could defend. I'm currently going to a Catholic church, but I'm not prepared to say I'm Catholic. I was baptized when I was young at like sort of basically a non-denominational church. But I haven't been baptized as a Catholic. I haven't taken communion. But I'm trying to hear out other denominations to try to make a decision for myself. So then there's this story, if you don't feel like talking about that, which is totally fine. There's this story about the LA fires, which I don't know if you've heard this, but so it came out that it was like, of course, it wasn't climate change. It was a dude that set the fire. Now, this story is crazy. It's let's see what, I haven't watched this video, but I sort of think I know what it's going to say. So listen to this.
The report says firefighters were ordered to leave the smoldering burn site that eventually became the deadly Palisades wildfire. The LA Times is obtained text messages from 3 firefighters at the scene of the Lockman fire. That fire started, of course, New Year's Day and then smoldered until January 7th, when historic winds reignited it into the Palisades fire. Federal prosecutors say that fire was intentionally set by Jonathan Rinderneck. On January 2nd, a battalion chief ordered firefighters at the scene to pull out of the area because the fire was contained. One firefighter said the chief had been told it was a bad idea to leave because the fire was still smoldering and could be rekindled. The LAFD has declined to comment on the text messages.
So we went from, this is climate change, oh my goodness, the world's ending, to actually a dude said it intentionally, and the firefighters saw it, knew it was a problem, and were ordered to pull back. Now, as Adam Carolla's been on for a long time and said as these fires had ended, the permit process is insane in the Palisades. And it's weird because there's a lot of wealthy liberal people that are now realizing for the first time sort of the problem with left-wing bureaucratic red tape. Turns out when you prioritize putting the, lesbian, Muslim, non-binary chick of color in charge of some petty job like issuing permits, you sort of fucked yourself because she's going to wield that power. So, all right, super chats. Our good friend AJC, $10 says, happy Halloween. Safe travels to you and your family to Pittsburgh. God bless. Thank you. We actually, again, I'll show one more time. My car that got, my wife's car, technically. So this is her. I was driving it, but there you go. Yeah, whacked a deer yesterday. So apparently we are our insurance will pay for a rental car for us until we could get the car repaired, unless it's totaled. And one of the things with driving an older car is sometimes if you have damage like that, the cost of the repair is worth more than the value of the car. My guess is the value of that car is maybe $5,000, maybe. And it's quite likely that damage is more than $5,000, like if it's damage to the frame. So in the interim, we'll get a rental car. We'll have to pay a $500 deductible. But so my wife's sorting all that out downstairs right now. But until then, my mother-in-law generously let us borrow her car, which I mentioned the other day. It's like a 2013 Chrysler. It's nice car. But for whatever reason, I mean, it kind of looks like a, I don't know how to explain it. It kind of looks like a little, regular car. And my son, for some reason, who's 4, calls it the Star Crusher 2000. So he's very excited that we get to travel in the Star Crusher 2000 today. So worked out. But thank you for the well wishes. And then 10 gifted memberships. Thank you so much. Holy shit. I just saw this. Naughty Germ, $5. Always a pleasure, man. Thank you. Thank you so much. And then Aquanote, like the live chat. Thank you. Really appreciate it. And then look at this guy. Holy cow. Now you want to talk, everybody says I'm a hard worker. This guy Avarice, I think he sleeps like 20 minutes a night. Like I end my show and he's like, oh, we're going TP in houses and egging houses tonight. You know, then I'll come down. Then I'll be up at 7 a.m. arguing with people. He gets like 20 minutes of sleep. He's fueled on pure rage for his Rust servers. Avarice, thank you so much. $100 says, this is the robnoerr show. It's my favorite show. Morning crew.
This is the robnoerr show.
I feel that is entitled to a song.
It's not the Nor Rob show. This is my favorite show because it is my show. If this was your show, you'd probably like it more. But maybe that's just because it was your show. But it's not your show. It's the robnoerr show. This is the robnoerr show. It's not the Nor Rob show. This is my favorite show because it is my show. If this was your show, you'd probably like it more. But maybe that's just because it was your show. But it's not your show. It's the robnoerr show.
Hey! Thank you so much, Avarice. Yeah, I should have set the goal to 500 today to cover my insurance deductible. I didn't even think of that. We're going to make it. Day shift's going to get to $500 so that I have a vehicle to travel around with. Old Joe, $5 says, morning coffee. Started a fire in the wood stove. Normal America. Good start to the day. Absolutely, man. That's amazing. Nate, what's happening, man? Happy Halloween, Rob. My son is dressing up as a rubber chicken. My son's doing T-Rex. He loves it. He insisted it not be one of those inflatable ones, though. He must know Antifa runs around in them. So we got like the old style costume, but he's very, very pleased with it. And then Premonition, what's up? $5 says, oh, really, you really waked it. Sorry. Happy Halloween. Picture of your son and costume, please, if you're comfortable. I would, but no. Maybe if I have a picture, maybe I'll show next week if I get one from behind where you can't see his face. People are crazy. I mean, my goodness, the other night on channel, we just were talking about, I swear, the people that were here can admit this happened. We were talking about kid shows, and I was talking about like movies that I've taken my son to and shows he likes. And we were talking about the show Wild Kratts that he likes if we went and saw lives. And I said, he's really into animal shows. Like you could even watch some of the like National Geographic shows with him or the Planet Earth specials or whatever. He's really in. And within 2 minutes of making that statement, someone who was a fan enough of the show to donate was accusing my son of being a trans furry who's 4 years old. So that's why I don't show pictures of my son, and I'm hesitant to give any specific details because people are fucking grotesque and nuts. Even people that you would think otherwise, you're like, why would you do that? You're a fan of the show. Why would you even be saying something? And the person insisted over and over, I'm not trolling. This is an actual serious concern. So yeah, probably won't be a picture of my son forthcoming. When he's old enough and 18 or something and can decide for himself, then he can put pictures of himself online. Until then, nope. Now, I did make the mistake of when my child was born doing a video because I was so excited. I don't know if that video is still up. But that's about it. So, anyways, the last story Premonition. Thanks so much. $2 says, I get it. No picture, no problems. Yes, yeah, I'm so sorry. I would love to, but yeah. Last thing I'll show is on that story about Arctic frost, Judge Boasberg, James Boasberg. You may have heard this name. Let's go through a little of what Boasberg's about here. Boasberg's an Obama Russiagate judge who signed off on the fraudulent FISA warrants. It's the same judge who sentenced January 6ers for seditious conspiracy. The same judge who let Ray Epps off scot-free for instigating January 6th. He issued a restraining order blocking DHS, Customs and Border Patrol, and ICE from deporting illegal aliens, terrorists, and narco-trafficking gang members belonging to Tren de Aragua, a designated foreign terrorist organization. He's the one that demanded that Trump administration turn the planes back for more than 200 suspected terrorists and narco-trafficking gang members from the feared gang who were living illegally in the United States. FBI attorney Kevin Kleinsmith, who served on Mueller's investigation, pled guilty to a felony for doctoring and tampering with evidence, specifically for deliberately lying to the FISA court as part of the Obama-Russia collusion conspiracy hoax, an attempt to overthrow the United States government. Incidentally, you'll remember what he did was changed a piece of evidence to say the opposite of what it said. He had an email from the CIA saying, yes, Carter Page worked to help us take down Russians, and he changed it to basically he did not help us. The opposite of the truth. Well, continuing, the judge who served on the FISA court, who gave Kleinsmith the slap on the wrist despite Durham's sentencing recommendation of imprisonment, guess who that judge was? Boasberg. Boasberg's wife, daughter, and brother have been revealed to have been substantial bribes from USAID and far-left anti-Trump billionaires. And that Boasberg told AT&T that if Senator Ted Cruz, a duly elected sitting United States senator, were informed that he was under subpoena, was being spied upon, his documents were being looked at, he would destroy evidence and imperil national security. It was one of the judges that signed off on Arctic Frost. By the way, he keeps randomly getting assigned cases of improminence where he keeps stymieing the Trump administration over and over again. You have judges like this that are activists. You have juries that refuse to indict left-wingers. Our legal system's screwed. It's cooked. Beatrix Rumford, $5 says, have a safe Halloween. I'm so happy you don't show your kid to protect his safety. Thank you. And I Stand America, $5 says, I think he doesn't understand the power of the Panelverse. I don't know why you people keep summoning this shit. I'm done. I'm not doing it. Like, all the memes are stupid.
I think he doesn't know the power of the Panelverse.
Oh, shit! Not the Panelverse! Oh, no! Not the fucking Panelverse! Beware the Panelverse. He doesn't run afoul of the Panelverse. Who could know the great Sarah Tomato? The power she wields. The power of the Panelverse. Well, there you go. All right. The Panelverse too powerful. We don't want to summon them. My goodness. All right. Trying to raise at least our goal of 357. We're doing great today. But it would be nice to get to $500 to pay my deductible. My sad deductible for my miserable car. I got smashed up. All right. Let's pin the message to the top. And we'll give our normal disclaimer. You have to follow terms of service. That means no racial slurs. That means no calls to violence, all of which we vehemently oppose on this show. Topics, the earlier you call in, probably the longer you'll get to talk. Topics are your choice. We don't have a problem with that. And there's already fighting backstage. Who would have thought? Your job as the audience is to send me good callers. And if you have extra money, don't worry about it. If you don't, man, thank you so much for your support anyway. But if you have some extra loot hanging around, send it my way. And I promise, normally I'm pissing it away. I'll be honest. Most days I'm on here, I'm like, send me money. And then as soon as you send me, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go to Chuck E. Cheese's and just fucking play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade machine for $200 until I finally beat it. That's normally the thought process. But this time I actually have something serious to do with the money, you know. By the way, before people accuse me, I'm going there with my child. My dad, and me played this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's like a more modern arcade machine. And I don't want to say getting frustrated, but my son just kept walking to the right. Like with his character, I think he was Michelangelo. He just kept walking to the right. And I'm like, buddy, you got to move your joystick this way and hit this button, you fight. So it's like 10 minutes, and he's just walking. And then finally I was like, here, let me show you. Here, his joystick was broke. The poor guy, I'm sitting there hassling him like he's doing a poor job. So we gave him a little Donatello action. Then he was kicking ass. He did great then. But the poor guy, he's like looking at me like I'm an idiot. He's like, I'm moving the joystick. What are you talking about? So we got us sorted out. Lone Bolt $5 says, the last of my SNAP benefits, good. You're probably just going to buy soda with it anyway. So, all right, here we go. First up, Avarice, what's happening
I
today?
beat Spiro. Eat it,
Yes.
you trucker.
Yes, in most things in life.
Oh, and every time he's just so beneath me. Look at he's even mad right there. Look at him cope. Just so you guys know, in the backstage we have this private chat, and Spiro's back there coping right now for the rest of you guys in the chat.
It's private, so we won't say exactly what he's saying, but it's harsh. It's very harsh.
Harsh. No, you know, I'm like today's one of those days I'm conflicted. So my bonus check came in, right?
Oh, okay.
Talk about that, right? So it's like it's sizable. You know, so I tithed. I did my tithing.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man.
And then
$100. That's 1/5 of the way to me not having to walk my fat ass around, you know.
Well, I still got a grip to the crucible, which is you're 10% of the crucible. There's still 1,000 that's got to go to the crucible.
Yes, I know that. Damn it.
So,
that's all right, dude. He's gonna need it. Dude. I don't know if you know his schedule, but he's got like an insane amount of debates coming up, and he's gonna be like, I think he's traveling to Vegas. And he's got to put up with Jake Rattlesnake, which on its own right's that's a chore in its own right.
What do you got to say about that, Jake? Jake, are you there? Is he there?
I don't know. Is he? He might be there. Jake, any commentary? Oh, well.
Oh.
You know, he's such a big talker on the extravaganza, but every time he's here, he has nothing to say. You know? What are you doing?
No, so I got my check. So now I'm like looking at, like, I'm doing the man thing. I'm looking at all the things I've wanted to buy, right? But I'm knowing I'm not going to buy them still with all my money because I'm a minimalist, right? So, like, I'm sitting here. There's an item, like a toy item I've really wanted, right? I'll call it a toy. It's not beneath me to call this one a toy. What it is, it's a Max Verstappen advent calendar. Now, Max Verstappen is the driver for the Red Bull team for F1, and you know I'm a big F1 fan.
Yeah.
Now, this thing is awesome. It's an advent calendar where you open it up and you make like a track display with a model RB20 race car on it, and when you push the button, it makes the engine sound.
Wow!
I'm like, I want this.
That's awesome.
Not a child. I want this, but I'm not a child. And it's all right. It's a confliction back and forth all day.
It's all right. Look, here's the thing, right? Like, I realized this a long time ago. 90% of my interests are absurdly like adolescent, right? Like, if all the time, I'll find myself like, you know, my wife will be like, just find something to put on. And I'm like, oh, Batman, the animated series. She's like, you're 40. I'm like, I don't give a shit. I like this and I'm going to watch it. You know?
My wife will go to bed. I'll go to bed. My wife will go, she goes, so what's for, I'll go, what are we going to put on for bed? She'll be like, anything but Crunchyroll. And I'm like, okay, babe, anything but Crunchyroll.
So then it's like my adult interests are so lame. It's like, it's always like, if we're just putting something on the background of bed and it's not like something from my childhood, it'll be like Judge Judy. And then my wife's just like, whatever, just put... I love it too, but I've seen every one, like, well, at least the new one that's on Amazon, the Judy Justice.
I haven't seen that. So I watched the old Judy, black robe Judy, not the red robe Judy.
Yeah. Well, the big thing is they got rid of Bird, the bailiff. Bird's gone. Yeah. Now it's another. Yeah. I'm sorry, new guy. They just found a black man that's muscular. To like, oh yeah, that's not what made Bird special. It was his personality. It wasn't the look.
Have you seen that one meme, the misogyny meme with there's the People's Court, like similar to Judge Judy, and they were doing the divorce, right? and the man hit the woman or something like that, and he goes, I mean, she just wasn't making me happy. And he goes, look at this, she doesn't need to hit his wife like to the bailiff, like he's a happy wife. And then like 5 years later, there's a news article, he's beating the shit out of his wife, the bailiff, the whole time.
He killed her. Yeah, he killed her. Yeah, because it's the defendant's like, nah, man, he ain't happy. I can tell he ain't happy at home. And then like it clips out to like 5 years later, and it shows his mugshot. It's like been arrested, formerly a bailiff on a TV court show for murdering his wife. It's like,
yeah, you can tell he ain't happy.
oh, I know we got more super chats to get to. But AJC says $10. Don't diss on Crunchyroll. He knows.
I'm not dissing on. Listen, you want to talk anime? I'm here to talk. I got a nerd crown to keep here.
It's it really is though. Like I don't know what people's interest. I always think it's funny. Like even I've given Andrew a little shit for this too. He'd be like, "Oh, you're into sports or whatever." It's like, well, not really. I mean, yes, you could be into anything too deep. Like if you're watching anime and you're like, I didn't pay my bills this month because I was buying hand-painted Gundams. Yeah, that's a fucking problem, right? Like, you know, but it's like, yeah, that's just my entertainment. I like watching that. That's
well, see, I defend the Gundam. So that's like an ongoing debate in the Foundry. Is it a toy or is it not a toy? I take it to the model level. It's the way we break it down because it's all subjective, right? I tend to think though, like there's an evolutionary process, right? This is why I don't like buy what I would consider toys. Because I try to think that as you get older, you kind of progress. You get like you could buy a Gundam action figure or you can buy the Gundam model, right? And you move your way up through the progression. It's similar in regards to somebody wearing a hat, right? Somebody can progress to a childlike hat, their child's like where they're wearing an Iron Man hat, let's say, and then they grow older, and then they get to like a black hat.
Right. I see what you're meaning. Yeah. It would be very childish to wear an Iron Man. We could watch anime cartoons, right? But wearing an Iron Man hat, maybe.
Yeah, you have to kind of upgrade yourself, right? To a more sophisticated hat. Like
look at this hat wear. I have hat wear that where's it go? That I could put a pencil in somewhere. Well, you can tell I don't use it frequently, but yeah. See, look at that. Now that's an adult. That's an adult piece of hat wear. There's utility, it's marked up, you know, dirty
there's
from where I'm working.
There's just a lot of childlike behavior in people that wear Iron Man hats. That's just what I'm saying.
I mean, wow. Look at that. Shots fired. My
Wait,
goodness.
Spiro? Who's happily married? Oh, that's right. This guy.
I think Spiro is also happily married, though.
I don't know. He doesn't like to. He doesn't glorify.
See? But here's the thing,
I am too, brother.
I think Spiro's claim. I don't want to speak for him, but I think his claim is that your wife's a saint, and despite your trollish looks, she has married you. You know.
I'm just saying, I don't know how you can have a happy wife when you keep feeding them rocks and making them blow on the dishwasher for air. You know.
Oh, poor. This battle will never end. All right, Avarice, I'm gonna get who. We have your brother is coming on next. So Avarice the Second.
Where is he now? Just bring him up.
There's Avarice the Second.
It's old Joe. I thought it was Spiro.
No, I can bring him up too.
Joe. Yeah, we can panel this out. Let's get everybody up.
Here we go. See, Avarice the Second.
Avarice the Second.
What? I don't want to be associated with Avarice the anything. And listen,
Avarice.
The
hat. Look at the hat.
Yeah, look, but you know what? My wife is with me despite my lack of money. Your wife is with you because of your money, despite your ugly face. All right. So I win,
well, see, the problem is that I'll never be poor enough to find that out. So you know,
you'll never be poor enough to understand just how ugly and ghoulish you look. Yes, that's right, Avarice. Yeah,
you know what?
I win that debate.
I beat that away with Benjamins.
You can pay for your face restructuring. Yeah, I can't.
Beating it away for Benjamins. Yeah, what are you doing over there? You can't fix. You have to fix it by putting hair there.
We'll save this for the Thursday night show. Avarice, thank you so much, Spiro. I'm going to put you in the back, and we're going to talk to
Have
Joe
a great day.
Thank you so much,
Joe,
as always.
Love you.
We'll talk soon. Spiro, I'll talk to you in a second. Hello, Avarice the Second, a.k.a. Old Joe. How you doing today?
Good morning, sir. Good morning. I'll provide a brief explanation of my name. And then I have a couple points I'd like to make. And maybe when you bring those guys back, I have one that maybe you guys could discuss together.
Okay.
To give me some ideas. First of all, the word avarice is one I was unfamiliar with. This is rare. generally, I've at least heard of a word before I had not. And the fact that it says so much in one word, not only greed, but the lust for greed itself, not just have material
Right.
possessions, but to want an insatiable, overt ostentatiousness, all wrapped up in one word. I've clumsily incorporated it, on a short-term basis, but I'll find a better way to incorporate it into my online identity. That's the explanation.
It really is a good word, and it's a good moniker for our friend Avarice, who's right now as we speak, like on some eBay site ordering his little toy, his little race car toy. So
Hey, I wanted to give a quick shout out to a member of your crew. So EOD, your mod,
yeah,
has sustained multiple allegations from me in chat about being different people, and I really want to say that guys like him that have good senses of humor and you can joke with, they make it a fun place to be. So in all
That's right.
seriousness, I wanted to say thanks to EOD, because that culture of being able to banter with one another without taking offense, it makes it a good place to come to. So thank you, sir. I wish he was here.
Yeah, there's a reason that I made him like my first like top mod, and it was because of exactly that, because we joke with each other back and forth, and I think it's important to have someone, particularly in like a high moderation position, that's capable of having a sense of humor, because oftentimes what'll happen in the chat is some people be jabbing back and forth, and through just text and written word, context is often lost, and people could, start to get really upset about something that maybe that wasn't the intent. And I think EOD has the perfect sort of mentality where he's able to be like, that's all right. Like he understands that like it's okay to have a sense of humor and to push at each other a little. And yeah, he absolutely does have a great sense of humor. I can't speak much for his taste in robe wear, but a sense of humor he's doing very good. So
I wasn't going to mention the robe. Yes, we'll leave that to the audience to decide whether the robe was a good
Check out
choice.
last night's show. You get to see EOD's pretty badass robe that he was wearing. So
Hey, if you get your two regulars up and you're having a panel discussion, I wonder if you could banter this around, or maybe this is something you're not interested in, but the interrupting during debates now, the over talking, when you go on certain places, it's clearly become a strategy and a weapon that people who've bottomed out on ideas are using, and they're doing it intentionally. Then going elsewhere and saying, oh, look at what I did. It's trolling for the intent of trolling, not for establishing meaning. So Jordan Peterson, we often quote him in our discussions. He had a saying about the left. He said he had monetized the left. In other words, their complaints he was able to use to his advantage. I'm wondering, I saw a suggestion in chat that when these guys start spurging out, if it would be an idea to do something like just start playing the whip song. And then when they say, what the hell are you doing? Well, my chat knows that when somebody spurgs out, I play the whip song and they start super chatting. You just made me $50 by your spurg out. Thank you. I'm not saying that is a viable idea, but what I'm saying is some way to turn that habit to your advantage. And I don't know what that is. I'm not saying I have good advice.
No, it's a great idea. And I think you're right about Jordan Peterson. And he does correctly highlight this. And I'll tell you, someone who does this much better than me is Andrew, right? So when Andrew didn't open that olive jar, right? Like that was the big attack. That's still the big attack on him. So what's he do the next day? He does a stream. He puts his arm in a fake cast and he raised $7,000. It's like, you're right. You guys got me. You guys burned me so good. And it's like, they're so dumb. They don't realize. Like, he could do that at any time. If some big left-wing streamer was like, screw you, you couldn't open this olive jar. Andrew could literally do the stream the next day, pretend he couldn't open the olive jar, hurt his arm, and be like, oh my goodness, who knows where my future will be? My medical bills may be through the roof. You guys are going to have to send some money in. He's going to raise $5,000+ just doing that. And they're so stupid, they don't realize it. It's like, it's what they'll never realize is, particularly with that bit, Andrew's audience is going to roast him harder than any lefty. Like, they still give him shit. I give him shit, somewhere, where do I have it? Oh, I don't know. I have a thing for Nashville. It's a lid jar opener that I'm gonna give to our friend Andrew so he doesn't run into this mistake again. Because there's not always an Australian himbo next to you, to open jar. So, but yeah, you're right. The mentality of that, it's a little different when it comes to the interrupting. But yeah, I am going to start doing something like that, where it's just going to be like, someone recommended to me that I just do this. Like, let's say me and you, it's like that debate the other day, and the audience asks a question, and I'm going to answer it thusly. I'm going to be like, well, actually, I think that we do sometimes prioritize things that aren't human life over human life. And you start interrupting immediately. Did I just do this? So there's occasions when that happens, when it goes to, the scale of one human life versus billions of dollars of damage, because that would affect other human lives. Now, maybe the audience didn't hear what I was saying because you were spurging out, and I'm just like,
yeah.
And if the moderator's like, what'd you say? I'll be like, oh, I said it. Next.
Yeah.
And just like, I just finished my thought, even if someone's screaming over, and I'm just like, hey, now the problem is the audience that doesn't get to hear that, then what you get to hear is, if it's me versus one person, you get to hear their 50% of the argument, and then you don't get to hear my argument. Then you get to hear 50% of argument, then you don't get to hear mine. Then you get to hear their 50. And so the impression that comes across is, Rob lost the debate. I didn't really hear him make any argument. I guess you just appeal to the people that aren't insane, that you're like, well, I'm not going to lower myself to their level. There is nothing I could do anymore. If I say, hey, this isn't professional, I don't want to be here, then I'm called a bitch. If I ask the moderator to do something, then I'm called a bitch. So I'm just going to talk as if they're not here. And if they're just going to interrupt, fine by me. That's to the loss of the audience. I know I'm doing well in this debate. That's that. I don't know. There's certain, but the idea of trying to monetize it, at least that's fun for me. And fun for my audience, so I definitely think it's a possibility.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say on that point is, I asked you for some debate advice one time, and you gave me a piece of advice I'd never heard. And I guess, not being a formal debater, I'd never considered this, but you talked about the utility of the audience. At some point in time, abandoning any hope to reach a consensus with your interlocutor and saying, I am now here for the audience. And so I know that even in those situations where you're being interrupted, for the vast majority of people who aren't already there with an agenda, you're coming across as having won the debate. The issue is dealing with those people that make it an incredibly frustrating experience to try and have a conversation. Hey, can I ask you to analyze one argument for me from a debate perspective, and I will drop down while you do it. So, in my opinion, one of the best, I don't know about debaters, but conversationalists that I've witnessed is Christopher Hitchens. Some of the things that I've seen, some of the things I've seen him say. So he made an argument. You've been speaking about abortion recently, and he made one particular argument that I know has changed some people's minds in one sentence. Let me try and say it, and then I'll drop down and you tell me whether you, from a debate perspective, think it's a powerful argument.
Sure.
The argument was this. Imagine you hypothetically are witnessing an assault taking place on the street. It's a female being assaulted. Would it or would it not change the nature of that event or your impression of it if you knew that woman was pregnant or not? And if so, why? Now, from a debate perspective, what do you think of that argument? I'll drop down and let you answer. Thank you very much, Rob.
It's an interesting argument, and here's why. Because when you could appeal to someone's sort of emotion, and that's not the right term, when you could imply that emotions have something to do with an argument in a way that's not evident, most people will hear that and they'll be like, I don't understand what the relevance is to abortion, right? So they'll just answer the question. Those are the best sorts of questions to ask in order to get to like a problem that you have with someone's like philosophical underpinnings of their position. So if I just say to you, like, well, shouldn't it be that if you punch a woman in the stomach and, the baby dies, that should be murder, right? It's evident where I'm going with that. But if I make it more loose, you're more likely to, because one of the problems is most people in a debate, they don't want to give a direct answer. They want to think like, where's he going with this? Well, what's going on? So the more you can keep them off guard, right, by just sort of asking a question that seems benign, I don't really see where they're going with this. So yes, I could answer truthfully. You're more likely to get a truthful answer from that. Now, Hitchens, when he's talking about this, Hitchens is, my assumption is, if I remember, Hitchens is pro-choice. I think that he's vehemently pro-choice. And when I've heard him debate this, he talks a lot about third world countries and how to lift them out of poverty. And he says giving women the ability to control their own reproductive rights is one of the most important things we could do. But I've never heard him specifically argue abortion, nor specifically make this argument. I just always intuited, because of the economic argument that I heard him make, particularly when it was in the context of sort of migration, that's sort of where he would be on it. So my guess is what he's saying is, if I was to answer the question, I would say, yes, it would affect. Now, I personally would say the fact that it's a woman affects me first and foremost. So there's different stages. If I see a man being assaulted, yes, that affects me, right? If I see a woman being assaulted, that affects me in a different way. That's more serious. If I know she's pregnant, that's going to affect me in a way that would be similar than if I saw a child being assaulted, which would be sort of the highest level, right? Okay, well, there you go. He claimed to be ethically opposed to abortion in most cases. That's why, because the nature of the question is, he's assuming that most people will say yes. That would change the calculus. The counter to the argument would be like, well, that's monstrous. You wouldn't help an innocent woman. Well, no, it's not that. I would help an innocent man in most cases. The problem is the level of your concern rises. And with a pregnant woman, it would be similar to that of a child, because we intuitively would say that's a child. That's an innocent life form inside that baby or inside that belly. So it's a very effective strategy, because people might intuitively just be like, sure, I would be more affected by that. Well, why? What is it specifically? Now, once I say yes, what am I going to answer if I'm a pro-choice person? Well, because, because the woman might want to keep the child, and then it is a life that will be a baby. Right. So then it's not an objective truth. It's subjective, but you don't know this woman's subjective want. For all you know, that woman was on her way to the abortion clinic. So why does the pregnancy affect you? But it does, because we know there's something objectively true about that being a life. So Hitchens is a brilliant man, and I know a lot of people aren't going to like him because he's an atheist, and that's fine. But you have to be able to contend with, the most powerful opposition you have in a logical or rhetorical sense, and Hitchens was that. He was an absolute phenomenal debater. And if you want to learn to defend Christianity, or you want to learn to defend positions that he was against, then you should study someone like that. Because if you could beat Christopher Hitchens in a debate, then you're you're pretty solid. Like, I don't think there's going to be many people that are going to be out arguing you. Aquanote, thank you so much, man. $50 says new donation goal should be set to $500. Hard push to Griff for sympathy. Full send. We did it. We set it to $500. Yes, if you're just tuning in, my car. It looks like my wife said that it's close. The insurance guy's down there. Let's see what she says. They're saying it's very close to being totaled. It will be they are replacing my son's booster seat, though. But it is going to be a $500 deductible because my car got smashed up. Stupid 8-point buck. You want to know what the worst part is? I actually feel really bad for that deer, and I hope that it's all right. That's not the worst part, I guess. But the worst part is the deer. Because what you don't want is like to shatter its hip and then have it living in pain for like a week and a half as it starves to death. That's terrible. So it ran off like it was fine, but that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean that, with the adrenaline in that moment. So I'm trying to pray. I hope that deer's okay and it's not suffering. It's always a crapshoot with these sort of things. Sometimes nothing wrong at all. Other times it could be really devastating. So, but it wasn't like that. I hit it and it died and it was laying alongside the road. It ran off into the woods. So, but it was a nice 8-point. And I got an up close. It jumped and then landed, and I swerved to the right. But if I'd have swerved to the left, it was so fast that if I would have swerved to the left, it would have just smashed my wife's side of the car instead of mine. But luckily, I didn't hit it as it was jumping. I hit it as it was landing, because what will happen is they'll come up over the hood. Then you're talking about smashing into your windshield. And I'm lucky that didn't happen. So, Shoreline Skirt, $50. Thank you so much. Says Griff. Thank you so much. How Long Nate says, check the application of cash. And then for $2 says, shut up, you women having men, simps. Cash App. All right, let me check. Oh, look at that. Our man Nate. Thank you so much, man. $100 on Cash App for the deductible. Thank you so much, Nate. Always appreciate it, man. Absolutely amazing. Craziest story I heard. This is a true story. Oh, there's my wife. Yeah, no blood or anything. We did have fur, but it did enough damage to, maybe total it. And my wife loved that Subaru. We're not expensive car people. We get a car and we drive it till the wheels fall off. So both my journey being out of commission and then, now her Subaru. True story, though. My father-in-law hauls oversized loads. I'll bring Spiro. He could listen to the story. He hauls oversized loads. So houses usually. Now, most of these houses, picture like a big trailer, except it's split down the middle in half. And then when they set it, they attach the two halves, and then you have a house. So when you're hauling it, you got like plastic as you're like going down the road. And he told me one time, I think they were up north in the United States. I don't think they were in Canada, but they were up like in Vermont or Maine or something. And a moose jumped through the plastic as they're driving like 40 mile an hour down the road. A moose jumps through.
Wow.
I think it was a female moose, but nonetheless, a big ass moose jumps into this thing. It was in Vermont. So they had to like pull over and like moose are they're not to fuck with. Like a moose will take you out, man.
Oh yeah.
So like they're sort of panicked, and this poor damn thing's in there just like. Ugh. So they did get it out, but that was driving down the road. And then I was with them one time where we ended up having to stay overnight because there were some issues. So we parked the house on the side of the road and then took the escort car to a hotel. And we go the next day, and the other driver that's there with his portion of the house, it looked like someone broke into the house. It was the door, the plastic was ripped and the door was open. You could see it. So these dudes, these serious dudes, they're grabbing like clubs and shit like, we're about to whoop someone's ass. They're still in this house. We could hear them in there. And you could hear this person. And what it was a fucking deer. And it came running and literally hit in the one spot possible on this side of the house that was the door and burst through the door that was locked, but it hit hard enough that it broke the lock and the jam on the door. And so it's still in there. And you're looking in the window. You can see this poor damn thing running around. And there's like shit on the like kitchen floor because it's scared. It can't get out. So then it's like, well, shit, how do we not get hurt? So it was kind of like you burst the door up and everybody like stood back and eventually the deer ran out. And it was fine, but yeah, some wild deer stories out there for the truckers. So,
Those things are not to be messed with. Imagine that, but in an igloo, which is what we all live in by law up in Canada here.
That's right. Yeah. Air conditioning, just, honey, can you put the ice block in the window there? It's getting cold. Sure.
It does help with the chilled rocks. By the way, I'm jealous of you guys having cars. I still have a Flintstone car because that's all I can afford. Yeah.
Well, Canada. Where do you have to go anyways? You got to go to the maple syrup store, eh?
Legally bound. Yes. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I'm just here to say some nice words and then leave. First of all, EOD is awesome. We are set up for the Zelda debate December 2nd. That is happening. So
that's going to be on. Obviously they'll be able to see it in both of your channels, but that's going to be moderated by Speakeasy, right? That's correct. Yeah, it'll be on Speakeasies. Yeah, moderated by Speakeasy. Yeah. So we're going to do which Zelda game best represents the franchise. The reason why I bring up EOD and why I thought that was very pertinent is because EOD is a good sport. He's a massively, so is Avarice, honestly. Yep. Like you can just make fun of Avarice. You can just rip him to shreds like I do, and he'll just be, whatever, right? That is what makes it fun. So we do have a good community here. I appreciate, as much as I like to say that chat sucks, which they do, I appreciate all of you down there, even the haters. And especially the haters. Especially the haters. Yeah, no, they're the best. Yeah. I've been getting lots of messages of people having opinions on the Zelda debate. So I'm kind of thinking that there might be a market for this guy disagrees with you. Yeah. You guys are awesome too. In fact, there's a market for nerdy debates like this, like proper formal structured nerdy debates. There might be. I mean, I don't know. what I'm supposed to say. I'll just say, check out Jim Bob's channel here in the next month or so.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
all I'll
well-
say. I've been given several topics for potential debates, some of which include things like the politics of Star Wars. You know, superhero debates and things of that nature. So I think there is a market for that. And it's two things. One, it's fun. But second, silly debates like that still show utility of debate strategy.
Yeah.
Right? Like, which is sometimes that's, and we would do this. We would, like, in debate, we would take sides of like dumb stuff. And that, like, these novice debaters would be like, well, what is this about? And then you could be like, did you see what you did there? You intuitively knew when it's a subject that you don't think is important, hey, what to do. Now we're talking about the need for nuclear missile defense, right?
Yeah.
You can employ that same strategy, right? You just have to, you know.
Yeah,
able
you
to
got to have
understand.
your thoughts. Yeah. I'm waiting for my invitation to a debate by Jim Bob. I don't think he'll ever have the guts to invite me because he's a wimp with no shoulders. In any case, the last thing I'll say is your wife called me. She said last night was fun. And by that,
She did, yes, she
I
did.
mean our exchange. Yeah. Our stream, nothing else. You degenerate scumbags.
Right.
No, it was a fun night. I appreciate all the support. We had an insane amount of support. And I just want to, for reasons that I think most people here will pick up on, I just want to stress, how grateful I am that you're helping me out by having me on the Thursday shows. I'm trying to, keep it entertained and fun. I hope it's working, but I really do appreciate it. And as a result of that, and some of the help and some of the financial gains, because it's been hard financially not being able to get work because I talk about what I do. There is a chance now that I'm coming to DebateCon. I've sorted out the schedule with my kid. There is a chance. I'm working on it. I'm trying to figure out how much it's going to cost. So I might see you guys there. But that wouldn't have happened unless you guys kind of did what you do and support me. I don't know what I did to deserve it. I genuinely don't. But anybody who would think that it's a good move to turn their back on people like yourself and Andrew and so on, I just don't understand that concept. You guys have been awesome, all of you, including you, Rob. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I want to say this real quick before you go. First off, you helped me a lot as well, not just behind the scenes, but more importantly, this is. Let me give you a little inside trade secret. This might blow some people's minds. When you stream averaging 2.5 to 3 shows a day, you sort of run out of shit to say. So it's nice to have people that you could talk with, because the format of my show is normally just me talking. And that's why the call-in show's nice, because I get different people's perspectives. And that's why I really enjoy talking to you, because it allows a different perspective, and it makes it much less work on me, where it's well, it's the night show. I got to come up with something to talk about for 3 hours on my own. So and by the way, all of you in the chat as well makes it easier, because bouncing things off the chat and interacting, all of that makes it easier. So by no means is it a one-way street. I really appreciate all the help that you've given me.
I'm glad.
The other thing is, and we're going to make this a center point of next Thursday's show. Okay. Just so people understand, it's not just DebateCon tickets. It's also that you're coming from Canada. So it's not a matter of hey, I got to get gas money to drive 3 hours.
Yeah.
It's a more serious
a
deal.
Day-long flight. It's a 4 to 6 hour flight, and then hotel and so on. I got to work out the schedule with my kid. Where is she going to be? Who's she going to be with? Yada yada yada. I'm transparent about this. I'm divorced. My ex is great in terms of co-parenting. We have 0 issues, so it works out really well. But there is the scheduling thing, right? And then, it's been hard to find work because people don't want to hire me because I trash talk the tech industry, and so it's been a hard go. But slowly, very slowly, but surely, things are turning around, and I now see that there is a potential for me to make it out there. And I have to thank all of you for doing that. You guys, I don't know what else to say. Just thank you. That's all. I'm just grateful.
I know, I think I speak for everyone. We all appreciate you, and I'm really hoping you make it out there. And like I said, we'll gear it up. We'll do a special, we'll do get Spiro's ass to Nashville. We'll set up a show. We'll eat maple syrup pancakes and Nashville hot chicken. We'll have a whole thing set up.
Trudeau will be proud. Yeah.
So we'll try to get And then, of course, what'll happen is, like, we'll get enough money, and you'll be ready to go, and they're going to give your seat to a native. Like, I'm sorry. The Canadian government is ruled. Spiro can't go.
Yeah.
We have to give his position to a native.
That's true. That's really happening. We'll talk about it on Thursday. Yeah, it's really happening.
All right, man. Hey, it's always a pleasure, man. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
We'll see you
later.
Yeah, we'll make sure we could do what we can Thursday here coming up. But that is excellent news, because here's the thing. Even behind the scenes, people's finances are people's finances. And it's like, as dudes, you're not really gung-ho to talk about people's finances. So a lot of times when people say something like you go into DebateCon, I don't know, man. Like, it's a decent amount of money. That might mean a polite way of saying, like, I don't really want to go to DebateCon. So you don't want to, I've had this happen, Hey, man, can you do this show? I'm usually busy on those nights. Oh, how about another night? Well, I don't know. It's just not really the type of thing that I normally do. Well, what if we slightly adjust it here? Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of busy. I got a lot coming up. Well, what if we did this? And then eventually you're like, yeah, I don't really want to do the show. I'm sorry. I should have just been upfront. I don't want to do the show. So you hate to pry because you don't always know. But Flavius, thank you so much over there on Rumble. $20 says, day shift clocking in. Thank you so much, Flavius. And then Call Me GL says, you say Rust servers? Yes. Avarice manages Rust servers. That's what he does. And Zankrios, $20 says, been on a business trip, so I haven't been here, but I watched the previous shows. You remind me of Rush Limbaugh. Oh, my goodness. You've got that Rush Limbaugh flair. You have a gift, and I look forward to your continued success. Thank you so much. What an incredible compliment. Thank you. Some heroes of mine I've been likened to lately. Rush Limbaugh, Arn Anderson. Someone said I was like Arn Anderson. He's one of my all-time favorite wrestlers. So, Infected Mushroom. $2 says he can't wait to report Spiro to ICE. Oh, piss. All right. We're trying to raise $500 today for my deductible on my smashed up car. Keep sending super chats in. We'll be here till 2:30. Yeah, I've been called Timu Alex Jones, which is an incredible compliment as far as I'm concerned. I'll take it. So next up, we got Fallen Heathen. How you doing today, man?
You jinxed yourself, brother. Like last week, you were saying, I haven't hit a deer in a long time.
I did, and you'll know this, right? Because you've lived in areas where, like, this is quite common. It is where I live. It's like pretty rare to go a 5-year span without someone in your household hitting a deer. Probably, like I said, my sister-in-law's hit like 3 in the past 5 years. So I'm kind of like, I haven't hit one, and then a week after I said it, bam. Yep.
Yeah, well, when I first moved out here, everyone was like, it's not a matter of if you're going to hit one, it's when you're going to hit one. In fact, though, the deer that I've actually hit while driving didn't do nearly as much damage as the deer that hit me last this time of the year. They're in the rut, so they're chasing girls, and I'm driving through my neighborhood going like 20 miles an hour, and a doe comes out in front of me, so I know there's a buck chasing her. And I back off, and he T-bones my passenger side door and completely caves the whole thing in. Wham! And I'm like, oh, sweet. Well, at least I get a buck. He's probably piled up right there on the side of the road. And I look in my rearview mirror. Nope. He got up and was like, oh, she went that way and kept chasing.
Yeah, it's tenacity, man. Dude, I think people that don't deal with like wildlife like don't understand how powerful they could be. Like it's absolutely
I couldn't
incredible.
even roll. It caved it in so much that the window wouldn't roll down. I literally had to take my door panel off and bang out from the inside to bang it out in order to operate the window.
That's crazy. Well, last night I was panicked for a second because my door wouldn't open. I shoved it open, but I was like, great, my fat ass is gonna have to climb like over the console and like get out the back or something. But we got it open. But yeah, I mean it's okay.
Honestly, I'm surprised they sent an adjuster out. We literally took a couple of pictures of it and sent it to our insurance company, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll give you $2,500 or whatever it was, $3,000," and they just sent us a check.
Yeah, I mean, my wife, like I said last night, so it's weird for me because my time to like actually talk to my wife's 2:30 until I have to go. So like last night, by the time I end the show, my wife's in bed. So I get up this morning and we're going to, from this show, pick up my son, immediately leave to go. So I was like, I could get a shower, I gotta get everything I'm gonna wear, coat and stuff, because I'm gonna be walking at night with my son. We got all that together. And she's like, hey, just so you know, I tried to do this insurance stuff last night. They told me to call today, so I've been on the phone all morning. And I'm like, cool. And I get a shower and I get out, and she's like, yeah, the insurance adjuster's like on his way. I was like, what? She's like, yeah, I know. Like that quick. And I was like, oh, okay. So she's like, I'm going to clean out some of the stuff in the car, because she's like, I don't know what they're going to say. So we get the car cleaned out. There was just some dumb stuff in there. So we got that cleaned out. And then I messed around a little and went out, and he still wasn't there. And I came up, my wife just texted me and said that it's going to be real close to whether or not it's totaled. So for those that don't know, and someone correct me if I'm wrong here, the way it works is, if the damage to the car is worth more than like the blue book value of the car, they just send you a check and that's it. They're just like, it's not worth, if my car's a $6,000 car and the body damage to it's $10,000 worth of body damage, they ain't going to pay $10,000 to fix a car that's only worth $6,000. They're just going to send you the check for the $6,000. So that's what they would say it's totaled. And it's close. So the damage to the car is going to be close to fix the amount that would be necessary to purchase the car outright. So
sometimes those adjusters shoot themselves in the foot. My wife had a little Kia when we first moved to Texas, little Kia like SUV, and I'd gotten rear-ended by a semi, and I think the car was worth like 16 grand or something like that. And the adjuster estimated about $12,000 worth of, because the whole back door, like everything had to be replaced. And when we got it back from the body shop guy was like, they should have just totaled this car. Like it was a bigger headache for them than it was worth it. With the amount of time too, the 3 weeks or whatever, we had a rental car and stuff, all that piled up. Yeah, it got expensive for them. But
yeah, I mean, for me, I don't care. I like the car. So if they decide, hey, we're just gonna fine. But if they say, hey, the car's, I don't know what the car's valued at, but if they're like, here's $5,000, well, then I'll just go get another car. But
you need to get a truck. I can't believe you're driving around in a car in that kind of area.
I know. And we screwed up the other day. See, if I get a truck, I'm not getting anything modern. It's going to be like, at the latest, like 90s, right? But I want an old squared body truck,
Old Chevy square body.
The bench seat. Yeah. Just something that's just a brick shithouse that if I hit a deer, there ain't no question I'm winning. That's what I want. Not one of these new fiberglass, So we saw one. And we came this close. Me and my wife talked about it all night one night. It was like, it needed work, but, a bunch of people in her family are mechanics, and they were selling it for like $1,500. And it was this old beat ass, like, I think it was a Chevy, and it was this like god awful brown and tan color, which was perfect for me. I'm like, yes. Like, and I don't know what it was. We decided not to get it. It was a 74 D150. That's what it was.
Oh, nice.
I think they wanted $1,500 for it. And, man, we came so close. And as soon as we didn't get it, like the next day, we were like, shit, we should have actually went and picked up, because we had the cash. I was like, I could buy it right now. Give the guy cash.
100%. My truck's on 37s, and I hit a deer going 70 miles an hour, and it bent my bumper back a little bit. When I got to work, we hooked it up to the forklift, tugged it out, and my truck was fine. Yeah, it got sucked right under the truck. But it's just dangerous. Talking about the adjusters, living in an area like this, they expect this. You know what I mean? So they're like, oh, you hit a deer. No shit. You live in, hill country. Same thing with hail damage out here in Texas. Would you say you got hail damage? Like, send us a couple pics. We already know you got hail damage.
So you want to hear something weird? Maybe you'll get a kick out of this. I knew a guy. I knew him from the debate team, and he went out to California, and he ended up working in a law firm. He was basically a glorified secretary. He didn't have a law degree or anything, but he became friends with this lawyer and basically was like his assistant. This lawyer did one case, only one type of case. And what it was he would call homeowners after fires in California. And he would say, do you know that your homeowner's insurance covers soot damage? Oh, and they'd be like, I had no clue. Yeah. And so he would then, like, for like 20% of whatever the settlement would be for all these insurance companies, they'd come out and, and he'd take care of, oh, this is $14,000 of soot damage. You need your whole house re-sided. Your roof needs redone. This soot's dangerous. It could be flammable and it could be, hard to breathe in and blah, blah, blah. So by the time we get a new roof, new siding, all of this stuff, that's going to be about $20,000, right? You pay me $4,000. We'll take them to court over this. And then what happens is the insurance company settles. We ain't dealing with it. Here you go. Here's $20,000. The lawyer walks away with $4,000. And he would go town through town, would do this after these fires. And he's making money hand over fist, but the insurance companies don't want to deal with it. They're just like, fine, whatever,
During storm season, there's like this old abandoned like industrial building down the way. And there's this company that'll show up for like 3 months out of the year, just hail, dent damage, blah, blah, blah. And they just hire a handful of guys to fix hail dents during, the spring when there's a lot of hailstorms and stuff like that. But speaking of fires, you mentioned the fire issue back. I was born and raised in California, so I dealt with all those fires every year. Another big aspect, I've never heard a lot on here. A lot of people talk about is like these environmentalists don't allow like linemen to do their work. Like my buddy is a lineman, was a lineman out there, and they've been shot at like up there in the boom, or they've showed up to clean some power lines, and there's some tree huggers that have chained themselves to the power pole and stuff like that. And it doesn't surprise me at all that they were told to walk away from the smoldering fire.
Yeah, I mean, it is surreal. Like now where I'm at, it would never be the case. I know some good friend of mine's a lineman, right? And they would never run out in here in rural Pennsylvania where he works. But yeah, it's absolutely true. There's, the environmentalists affect us in weird ways around here. Like there's a bunch of little, I'd call them mini zoos. They're always raising a ruckus about that. Oh, yeah. This tortoise you have here, its cage isn't big enough, blah, 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 shit like that. But that's about the gist that we get of it. But they're insane. If you go down a logical tree and try to explain to these environmentalists, like some of the shit they'll bitch about, right? Like, we can't go into these virgin forests, don't touch them. It's like, but if we don't clear the brush, there's going to be these horrible fires,
That's
right?
what it is.
And then it's not just going to damage the humans, like in the Palisades, it's also going to screw up the natural environment. So we as humans could actually go in and make it less likely for that to happen. Another thing like that is deer here in Pennsylvania, and I'm sure it's the same where you're at. Like they are begging. Hunters are decreasing. When I was 14, like, dude, you couldn't get a patch in the woods where you could hunt without another hunter there. It was everywhere. Like it was everybody was hunting. Now those numbers are declining. Like the younger generation, and I myself, I don't hunt anymore, but the younger generation doesn't seem as interested. So it used to be like you would get your buck and your doe stamp, and then you can get a second doe stamp. Now it's like easy. You get the second doe stamp, you could get sometimes you can get a third. And it's just like
5.
Yeah. And it's because and people are like, well, why? What's up with this regulation? Well, here's the thing. If we're not culling these deers, the damage that it will do to like the habitats is insane. Yep. And it's going to matriculate down to, and it's like, well, that would be the natural course of things. Well, no, because what happened is when humans come in and they're putting roads and houses and fields and stuff, all of a sudden you're giving these deer an environment that's more suited to them, right? So their population increases, and then simultaneously we're taking out the predators, right? And so now the populations are bursting. And what's going to happen is that's going to have a negative effect on sort of the wildlife around there.
Well, and disease.
Yes, disease, ticks.
Yeah,
that's right. You see all these other things spring up, these second order effects. And so when you're trying to manage them, what do the fucking environmentalists say? Well, it's evil. You can't do that. And it's like, you idiots. Like, you have no idea what you're doing. I say this all the time. Easily, the best environmentalists I know are outdoorsmen. They're hunters. Like 100%. They literally on their time off without anyone paying them or anything, they'll be going through chunks of woods, cleaning it up, making sure that everything's good, that, the populations of the animals there are doing well, that there's no garbage laying around. They're making sure that like people aren't coming in and damaging the property, et cetera, because they care. This is a resource that they're utilizing, these hunters. The environmentalists aren't. They don't give a shit. It's a virtue signal for them,
100%. So my last thing I wanted to bring up is, have you ever dealt with that P.F. Young guy or P.H. Young?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. He just had a piece go on and some guy I never heard of debating something about the Constitution. And he was a really good moderator.
Yeah, he's not bad.
He kept shutting Pisco down. He's like, stop with this meta shit. This is what we're talking about here. And I was impressed. I mean, you should guys get him more involved with moderating debates.
The problem with him is, like, sometimes the last time I did a debate with him, kind of moderating, it wasn't really a debate, but it was with Sitch. I was talking about January 6th and electors and stuff. And he would have this weird thing of being like, well, let's pretend we're just all sitting around a fire, right? So I don't want you to bring like specific evidence in. And it's like, well, I don't know how to do that, because if I was sitting around a fire, I would also be talking like, this is how I am. But no, he's a good guy. I think that he is, he's more of a centrist, but he's thinking. He's willing to, he's a rare person that I think that you could make a point to him and he'll be like, you know what? Yeah. I was wrong about that. And I think that's much to be appreciated in this space, where a lot of people, it's just like, nope, I'm digging my heels in. It is what it is. There's no changing it. He's a good guy. So I will reach out to him, and I'm sure I'll be doing a show with him soon. But yeah, absolutely a good suggestion. I think he's someone that if I decided I'm going to debate Spiro or I'm going to debate, whoever, I think, Piska or whatever, I think that I would accept him as a fair moderator. I absolutely think that. So.
Run on. Well, happy Halloween and enjoy doing trick-or-treating with your boy. I'm going to get back to work.
All right, man. Thanks as always. Have a good one.
brother.
BF Jung, he's riding the tails of me without any of the flight. There you go. Also true. All right, more super chats. Legends, Rain, thanks so much. $5. So Scott is also going to the DebateCon, by the way. You got to hang out with him. Y'all being liberty-minded and all, you're both good dudes. Best wishes. I'm absolutely... So this is not I know how people are, right? My wife's absolute favorite two people that I interact with are Spiro and Fabian Liberty, Scott. She loves when I do a show with Scott. She absolutely loves it. She's always just like, that's like the only show she watches. So I like Scott a lot. Even if we have disagreements, which is obviously going to be the case with any two people. But yeah. Is PF Jung kind of a charlatan? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know enough about him. My interactions with him have been okay. But yeah, I really enjoy Fabian Liberty. I think he's a very smart dude. And his series that he does, where he's just like the Heroes of Capitalism series, I think is amazing. Flavius, $50 over on Rumble. Thank you. Says, your luck with cars is like mine with motorcycles, but I can't get another bike. The Lord most likely won't give my R side another chance. Yeah, isn't it like that with, I don't know the rest of you out there, but I've always been like this in my life. When you have a problem with a car, it just seems to, it all comes at once. So the alternator goes out of my journey. Then I hit with my other car. I hit. And by the way, this is all coming like, DebateCon in 2 weeks. We're supposed to be driving to Pittsburgh today. So for DebateCon, we were getting a rental car anyways. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. All right, keep getting the super chats in. We're trying to get to our goal, $500 to pay my deductible for my banged up car. Next up, someone I'll bet knows about deer and people hitting him. Our friend Yenzer. What's happening, Yenzer?
I think you are a coward for not admitting you wish that deer's death. I'll be honest with you. Never.
I didn't. I swear I didn't. It was a beautiful deer. Perfectly symmetrical 8-point rack. And it was like, son of a bitch. I felt so bad about it.
You hate to see him die in that manner.
I'll say this. I would rather it died than if I shattered its hip and now it's going to starve to death.
So do you want to hear a kind of sad but kind of funny story?
Yeah.
And I would say it's duality of the man versus woman. I was being picked up back in middle school from basketball practice from my mother late at night. Or no, it was post-game, not practice. We were driving home on this country road right past this farm, and we see this deer hind end is completely shattered. It is crawling across the roads off the front. And it is sad. It's sad to see that. And my mom calls my dad. I'm like, oh, well, we're going to kill it. If you call Dad. And she calls my dad, and it's like, yeah. You want me to bring my gun out? She's like, no, I want you to take care of it. He's like, I am taking care of it. He's like, oh, I can call the farmer. Like, we're friends with the farmer. We can call him out, or you can call the cops and see if the cops won't do anything about it. She's like, I'll just call the cops, because she knew what the farmer was going to do. Calls the cops, on the phone with the cops, describing where we're at. On the bend of the on this long road, we see this car approaching. My mom starts flashing the lights and honking her horn. Because it's a solid size. It's a doe, but it's a solid size doe. It would do some damage.
Sure.
And on the phone with the cops, and the car doesn't slow down. It actually appears to be speeding up a little bit. And my mom starts flashing her lights a little faster, holding down the horn. The deer's frightened by this, so it starts jittering a little bit more. Car seems to speed up, hits that deer, going probably 70 miles per hour down.
Oh no!
And like, there's not an ounce of hair left on that road. And like, my mom's crying. The police are like, "What just happened? Who died?" She's like, "It was just a deer on the road." I'm in tears of laughter,
Yeah.
but it was just a very funny experience.
It is.
Like,
I have a story I won't tell, but I watched my dad be an absolute Chad one time with a deer suffering on the side of the road. That's all I'll say. He didn't have a firearm, so it was a harrowing experience. But it sounds rough. But here's the thing, right? Like, there's not anything they're going to be able to deal with a deer with a shattered backside like that. There's going to be one answer, and it's like, what are you going to do? Let this poor thing suffer for the next 2-3 hours while someone makes a decision? Like, look, we're gonna, the best thing you could do at that point is probably humanely.
It is the most ethical. It is the most ethical. And one thing I'll leave it with you after this, but a few days ago, or maybe a few weeks ago at this point, I was listening to one of Grid Motorsports. He was having a panel saying, "Can you?" One of the debates was, "Can you ethically? Should you date someone of an opposite political opinion?"
Mm-hmm.
And I on that discussion, it's a very hard one, but I think no. And I know you have a very lucky lady that agrees with you on most things, but one of the people I started talking to, I was like, "Hey, I'm going hunting this weekend," and she just is like, "Oh, that's murder." Like, she basically was just saying you're a murderer. And it's like, why waste time with someone who thinks you are genuinely a murderer for hunting? It's like, you're not even not trap hunting, none of that sort. It's like, no, you want to get the clean kill. You don't want the suffering. You don't want any of that. It's just ethical hunting. And she's like, "No, I think you're evil." I'm like, "You just want to kill." I'm like, "No, it helps the environment." We have family friends who are farmers. They want these deer gone. The overpopulation, the Lyme disease, everything hurts the ecosystem. So you need to keep it in healthy numbers. But
it's an interesting it's difficult. I would say you can date someone with different politics, but not opposite. So there's levels to this. For example, my wife and I don't agree on anything. My wife was more of a Bernie person in 2016, but that's because she shared my belief in sort of the corruption of the system, right? And she voted for Trump, but she was like, "Yeah, I want Bernie to win the Democratic primary because I hate sort of the establishment Democratic politics." And, it's one thing to have a disagreement. Like, you're dating someone and you're like, "Look, tax cuts." And they're like, "Nah, social programs." That's one thing. But if it's like, "Yeah, I think we should have a secure border." And they're like, "I think you're a fascist." Like, yeah, that's not going to work. Like, that situation's not going to work out. If they think that you were evil, or if the difference is on an issue that's so important that there could be no middle ground. Like, if you're like, "I am pro-life, life begins at conception," and your partner's like, "No, I think that that's monstrous. I'm pro-choice and I'm for abortions up till 9 months." I don't know where the common ground could be with that. I'm not prepared to sit here and give dating advice to say, "Oh, if you're in that situation, leave your spouse or whatever right now, or your girlfriend or boyfriend." I'm not saying that, but I am saying I can envision, like, it's an interesting question, and I can envision, a situation where it works out, where people have mild political disagreements, but I don't know how you could be with someone that, like, if my wife was like, "Hey, I'm glad Charlie Kirk got murdered, and I think people that share his opinion should be murdered," and I'm like, "But I'm more right-wing than him," how does that work out, right? If your wife's like, "I think people like you should be killed," or your husband or boyfriend or whatever, depending on, what your sex is that's watching here. So, it was similar to on Speakeasy's show the other day. It was like, can you be friends with someone with the opposite political opinions? And I was like, I argued that yes, but that's because I tricked my opponents into arguing that opposite didn't mean opposite. But if it truly is opposite, or with, like, not political opposite, moral position. Because, like, I have a moral position that says this, like, you can't murder, you You can't like rob babies. You can't go, oh, there's a baby, I'm gonna go steal its shit. That's a moral position I have. And I suppose the opposite would be, no. You can and should.
Well,
Yeah,
see,
I can't be friends with that guy. But if it's, well, I'm Christian and you're an atheist, but you're never really throwing it in my face, and I still think that you're pretty much a moral person in how you're acting, even if your foundations and how you got there disagree with. I think I could be friends with you. You know.
Well, I think a better example is the Norm Macdonald joke. Yeah, if you're a hypocrite, yeah, I think I could be a friend with you a little bit, but if you're
Yeah, you're right. That's one of my favorites. You know what the worst part is? The hypocrisy. It's like, well, that's not the worst part. That's way down the list. But yeah, it really is. It's an interesting question though, and it's a great like sort of foundational sort of debate type question that gets to know, like, asking yourself like first principles and like what does friendship mean? What does dating mean? How close can we be to people that don't share the same values or culture as us? And I think the answer is there's wiggle room, but there certainly comes a point where it's like, I don't know, like, I don't want to associate with people that think that Charlie Kirk dying was a good thing. Fuck them. And I don't want to associate with those people that celebrated it. I don't care. And that's non-negotiable at this point with me. Maybe it changes later if they sort of soften their stance on it, and I think that they're truly contrite about it and have truly changed how they feel, but I don't care. I don't want. Now, could I date someone that's like, theoretically, I can't now, I'm married, but could it have been someone that was like, actually, I like John Fetterman over Dr. Oz? Sure. I could be like, all right, that's, I'm not the biggest Dr. Oz fan anyway.
well, no true Pennsylvanian was actually a real fan of Oz. It was more so, I don't like Fetterman.
I think Oz is actually a reasonable person. Like when I met him, he seems like a decent guy, and then I've since learned some things about him. I don't want to say private. It's not like crazy shit, but it was in a conversation that I'm not going to disclose. That he seems he's doing okay with the Trump administration. I think they're working with them. But yeah, I wasn't thrilled, and I told Dr. Oz I wasn't thrilled when I got to meet him. And Fetterman's been less bad than I expected. So I mean,
for my family, everyone's like, well, Oz isn't from PA. Like that was the key thing. Like people who were like reluctantly voting for Oz was, but like he's not from PA. He's either New York, New Jersey, or California. Like he's not a PA.
It was a really bad pick. I everything about that pick was bad. Right. Like, and then the attacks on Fetterman that they tried to go with. This is what gets me. Like, I don't understand. Look, I'm not claiming to be the smartest person in the world or anything like that. And I certainly am, I ain't worked on a lot of politics my whole life, with running campaigns and shit. But like all of Dr. Oz's shit, none of it made sense to me. Right. Like, first off, their attack on Fetterman's like, well, you wear hoodies. And it's like, yeah, man. I don't know that that's the game when the attack on you is like, you're this wealthy out-of-state dude that's out of touch. And you're like, oh, you dress like the majority of Pennsylvanians. Now, there's an argument that's like, look, you should have a little decorum. You should have a little respect. You're in the halls of Congress. You shouldn't be wearing hoodies. But that's such a weak argument. And all it does is further entrench the actual better argument against yourself, which is that you're elite. And then this dude's supposed to be a doctor, right? And so there comes some it's not that you can't have a sense of humor or anything like that as a doctor, but there's a difference, right? You can't joke around about certain medical things. So when Fetterman has a stroke and the chief campaign spokesman for Dr. Oz is out in public saying, basically, well, that's because the fat bastard needs to eat more fruit. Like, no, you can't do that. Now, I think it's kind of funny, but you can't do that. You look like a soulless asshole. You're a doctor, and your campaign spokesman's out there. The actual quote was something like, maybe if he would have eaten a piece of fruit, he wouldn't have had this stroke. And it's like, what a terrible thing. And you don't know how many people that were sort of in the middle, that were like, I'm Republican, but Dr. Oz is not really from the state. And they heard that and were like, this is awful. Why would his team say that? And so I was flipping out. I was talking to people, that were connected to his campaign. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing over there? Fire this goof immediately. What are you doing? You can't talk like that. And then he does this ad. You remember this? Where he's like, oh, I'm out at, Wegmans or whatever, and I'm trying to buy my crudité. Crudité? Those are carrots, you dumb shit. This is Pennsylvania. What are you talking about, crudité? Oh, my goodness. Everything about him just spoke like wealthy elite dude. And you're like running at a time where the soul of the party is like this populist, like, fuck you attitude. We're tired of these elites. And so you pick the one dude that's not from the area that's elite, and his attack on the other person's like, he needs to eat more fruit, and he's wearing a hoodie.
Oh, no.
And then you're surprised when you lose. I mean, I don't know what to say. It was obvious to me it was a disaster-ran campaign. But, what do I know? I'm not one of the people that are throwing millions of dollars in. I'm just some dumb redneck, so...
You should have done $100,000 in Pokemon ads. That's the issue.
Well, of course! Everybody knows that's the easiest way to win an election. But, you wouldn't believe, man, I try to authentically portray who I am on here. I think this is me. Maybe sometimes I dial it up a little or I swear a little more, or, depending on but this is me. And I don't think I'm some elite. I don't think that at all. In fact, I think the opposite. I'll go to these Republican events and they'll by the end of the event, I'll sit down and we'll be talking to congressmen. And they'll be discussing what should the strategy be this election? What would you recommend? Josh Shapiro, who is our governor, right? I'm telling you that one of the attacks that there is being bandied around, I'm not going to say who suggested this, but a serious person is suggesting that the attack on Josh Shapiro going into this election for governor is going to be, he's not Jewish enough.
Are you kidding me?
I about shit when I heard this. I was like, oh, he doesn't support Israel enough. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I lost my shit. I was like, this is the worst fucking thing I've ever heard. And people were like they were a little pissed that I was so incredulous about it. I'm like, this is fucking insane. That's insane.
Well, when half a PA buys or majority of their groceries at Dollar General, I don't think we care about how
Right. That's right. And they're like, well, he's Jewish, but he won't defend Israel. And, even when this pro-Palestinian person burned his house and he won't condemn it and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, this is dumb. No one gives a shit about that. No one in this state cares. No one. What is the demographic that you think you're picking up votes with this attack? Right?
If anything, that'd be inner city people who already don't like him. You're not winning them over.
That's it. Anyone who has this feeling, you don't need to tell them. There's some Jewish person out there like Josh Shapiro sold us out. They're not going to vote for him anyways. You don't have to tell them, right? So all you're doing is pissing off a bunch of your base, making this the central attack. And they're like, what would you say? I was like, Josh Shapiro was the attorney general under Tom Wolf, right? Yep. And so he was the chief person for enforcing the laws. Yep. And so he was the chief person for enforcing the unlawful decrees of Tom Wolf that locked us down. Yep. There you go. That's the fucking attack. Everybody's still pissed about those lockdowns. This guy was the chief enforcer of them in this state, and no one breathes a word about it. No one says fuck all. He gets to go out there with impunity without people calling it out because the big brains that are running against him are like, how can we say this man's not Jewish enough? What the fuck is going on? And I don't understand. I'm talking about these people are paid six figures, man. There's millions of dollars going into this strategizing. And I'm just some dumb fucking redneck sitting at a picnic table like, you can't see that. Who the fuck focus grouped this attack? Who did this? Who came up with this idea? They should be fired immediately. It's the dumbest fucking idea I've ever heard. And they looked at me like I was a space alien. Like, what do you mean? That's it, man. That's politics in general. Like, some of the dumbest people you can imagine that are getting paid millions of dollars behind the scenes to come up with brilliance like that. Every single random person on this chat, if I explained a little bit of the situation and said, here's the deal, they're going to say he's not Jewish enough, would laugh their asses off. Right wing or left wing, it wouldn't matter. They'd be like, wait, what? That's the argument?
Well, the worst, 100%. Especially when it comes to the blue dogs in the rural areas, they were pissed off about the shutdowns. They're like, yeah, maybe some shutdowns in the bigger cities, but it's like, I can't even go to an outdoor bar out in the boonies with three of my friends and everyone else. We just we go to work, we go to this bar, we go home. There is no out. It's such a bad selling
I don't understand. But that's where we're at, man. That's politics. What's this guy say? I see John Ward's name. I pay attention. I like John. He says he had a segment months ago about Shapiro's best friend allegedly murdering his wife. Shapiro possibly helped cover it up in the suicide. Yeah, that stabbed herself in the back of the neck several times. It's a crazy case. My friend Todd Bartley's got a story, the Myrtle Beach story that he talks about all the time. Josh Shapiro buried that. There are certainly scandals from his time as Attorney General. There certainly are. Like, those are fertile areas for attack.
Well,
But as far as a political strategy, like attacking him for his political positions, I don't know that you're not Jewish enough is on my radar,
No, I'm with you. I think the best argument against him would be, you shut down everyday Americans who were law abiding, but allowed rioters to go out and torch these cities.
And he's been a little more moderate since Trump's been elected. But here's my argument to that: wait and see what happens if we have a Democrat president and Democrat Congress. He's going to go back to what he truly is, which is that lockdown guy. He's going to go back to saying we need to rein in fracking and stuff like that in Pennsylvania. That's going to cost a lot of jobs. He's going to go back to being like, we need to raise taxes. People don't know this probably that are watching, but I believe Pennsylvania is second in the country for gasoline taxes. Like, it's out of control. And then you would say, oh, well, where do they use that money? Allegedly on highway infrastructure, and our roads suck ass.
Quote unquote.
Right? We have bridges that are collapsing. So where's all this damn money going? We don't know. But now they're talking about tolling I-80 where I live. It's funny, man, because local politics is so interesting, right? It's fucking amazing. I find it to be one of the most interesting things. We talk about all these, constantly I'm talking about national politics. Dude, like, lockdowns obviously fired people up. That's crazy. I've never seen people more politically involved than the lockdowns. But man, you start talking about like tolling Interstate 80 in my town, and there'll be people ready to throw fists. Like, they're like, "What the motherfucker?" Like they're mad. People that like would never vote are like, they're gonna toll I-80, those sons of bitches. Like, so it's really funny how this local issue gets local people fired up. But well, hey, Yenzer, I will let you go. I got some more callers. It's always a pleasure, man.
Mm-hmm.
Stay safe. Good luck watching the Colts game this week. If you're gonna,
there's no luck, but thanks, appreciate it.
Yeah, they'll win this one. That's the worst part about Mike Tomlin. They play like ass, and then a game you're like, well, they're dead in the water here. They end up winning just to give you enough hope to go 9-8, and then fuck it all up anyways. That's the Mike Tomlin way, for the past 10 years. So
opposite of perfection is acceptableness.
Yes. The standard is the standard, So, okay. All right, Yenzer, take it easy, man.
See you, Rob.
Yep. It's always nice to talk to a fellow Pittsburghian. No, I'm not. I'm kind of bullshitting you. I'm not a Pittsburghian. I just live. That's the closest city to me. But still, I'm a Yenzer, through and through. All right. Let's see here. I'm doing something real quick. Okay. Good. Super chats. Yeah, we are trying to raise. So I have just been given the news, ladies and gentlemen. 1 second here. The news has came in. We'll get to you, Mikey, I promise. I regret to inform you that my wife Subaru did not make it. Ladies and gentlemen, the car has been totaled. It was a good car. It got us through a great many times. Trips to my son's t-ball game. We used to dress it up when we do trunk or treat with Halloween decorations. It'll truly be missed. Also, I'm not a lesbian anymore. We'll miss you, Subaru Forester. May your parts find its way into other lesbian vehicles around the country. Well, there you have it. So, $500 deductible that we'll need to pay so that we could go get our rental car Monday, and then we'll be in the car shopping business. So trying to reach that goal of $500. Next up, we'll bring up our friend Nate, who we have more time to spend with today. Yesterday we were so rushed, Nate. Great to hear from you again today, man.
Hey, how's it going? Happy Halloween.
Thank you. Happy Halloween to you. It's going very well. I mean, so the car thing sucks, but what can you do?
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that.
There's worse thing. There's worse thing.
Yeah. I just had to spend a little bit ago $1,000 because one of my rims cracked.
That sucks, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here's the story I had. I was talking about that Wild Kratts thing. It was like a live show. Wild Kratts is a PBS show that my son's into. So we went out to this live show out in Ohio. A lot of fun. On the way back, for whatever reason, we decided to take the smallest of detours. I can't remember why, but it was like, oh, we should stop somewhere. I think it was to get oil because the car, the oil light came on. And so it's we should go. So we took a little detour. It's like 5 minutes. And I don't know what happened, but the car in front of me threw something out from under it and ran right over it, pops my tire. So literally, like you're right in the side of this like 4-lane, I don't know how to explain it. Like it's in the middle of a town, like with businesses all over the place. So we just pull into the first place. It's Sam's Club, right? Sam's Club's like the Walmart version of Costco. So we like,
I know what you're talking about.
They got a garage there. Great. We'll get a tire, right? Well, you got to be a member. So I had to sign up for a Sam's Club membership to get this tire replaced, right? And then it's like, well, we can't just do one tire. I'm like, oh my gosh, the other tires are brand new. I've had them for like a month. So I convinced him I had to sign a waiver to get him to do one tire. All told, for this one tire, it ended up costing me, between the membership and the tire, it ended up costing me like $300 and something bucks. It's like, what a pain in the ass, So I've had, it's no rim cracking, but I've had my share of tire troubles too. So
yeah, I got a young and dumb car, so I'm trying to pay it off and get something a little more responsible for where I'm at. I'm in the Pacific Northwest, so
okay.
A fast car is not good for here.
Right. Rainstorms and sleet and a fast car. Yeah. So what's on your mind today, man?
Well, I was calling because I know I talked to you yesterday a little bit. By the way, I am on the road, so if it cuts out, I'll tune back in. You don't have to bring me back, but just a heads up. I'm trying to, I guess, kind of get through some of my beliefs with people who know a little bit more, or I guess more politics, not beliefs. I don't know. With someone who knows a little bit more about stuff. I've listened to you for a while now. And this is, by the way, my second time ever coming on one of these.
Well, thank you. I appreciate honor. Yeah. Thank you so much.
I'm just curious, what other people think about it, and if I'm kind of way out there or if it kind of lines up. I feel like I'm pretty vanilla with most of my understandings of stuff. The federalism thing, I started learning about that I think a while ago, but I started really getting into it recently. And the reasoning was, and here's the thing maybe you can have some insight on, is it's whenever I listen to people talk about these politics, they have these ideas on resolutions, and they're all, well, not all of them, but some of them are great. That's why I listen. One of the things I always hear, and maybe this is a misunderstanding on my part, is it sounds like people want to break the whole system down and kind of build a new one on top of it. Because they're just kind of, I don't know if you'd say black pilled about the thing or whatever, like where it's, it's all dead. We need to redo this. They don't say that, and I don't know if they think that's what it sounds like, but that's what it seems like to me. Whether you look on the right or the left, a lot of their solutions are no. We need to start doing this. We need to start doing that, and that's like that tears the whole thing down. And I was looking at, okay, how are we set up now? We have like the federal government, we still have state governments, and then I was kind of connecting the dots. I'm like, we still kind of practice federalism, and I kind of wonder, because these problems, a lot of them are individually identifiable, I wonder if it's like actually repairable. Because like a man, when you have a home, right, as a man, when you get a leak in your plumbing, you don't burn down the whole house and build a new one on top of the ashes. You repair the plumbing and then you reinforce the repairs. the only time I'd say you tear it down is if every time you fix something, something else is happening that makes everything worse or whatever. But I don't know if that's necessarily our case yet. And I feel like there's some sense of repairs that can be made here that we need to, I don't know, kind of look into instead of trying to.
So I'm very glad. This is a great talking point, and here's why. So Monday, I'm going to be starting a show that's going to be semi-weekly, and it's going to be with this attorney, Ryan Mullally. Now, Ryan pitched the show idea to me. We talked for about an hour on the phone about this. And basically, Ryan is in camp build, and I'm in camp demolish. Now, it's not what you think, though. But the idea is, let's say we have a corrupt system. Let's say you have a corrupt foundation on a house. Well, you need to demolish and remove the corruption, but then you also need to build up. The question is, when do you demolish and when do you build, right? You're absolutely right that the idea that it's like completely start from scratch is nonsensical. Like the idea that it's like, well, you know, the founding fathers screwed up, shred the Constitution, this, that, and the other. I don't think we're there. I think that that's way too far. Right, with the idea of just like there's things we don't like, so demolish everything. However, there are certain institutions that I feel that way about. So I feel that way about the FBI. I feel the FBI is unsalvageable. I think, and we're seeing more and more of it to the point where the FBI is basically spying on 400 and something Republican entities. Started the investigation 4 days after Trump decided he was going to run for election. This comes off the 2016 election where we could see the bogus Russiagate investigation, and comes off 2020, where we could see the FBI and intelligence agencies put their thumb on the scale, denying the Hunter Biden laptop story and all of this stuff. To me, it's not salvageable. There needs to be.
So you see them kind of like, sorry.
Go ahead. No, please.
I was going to ask, you kind of see them in a sense, this is going to sound morbid, but like a sort of like a tumor, you kind of need to scrape them off so that they don't corrupt the rest of the system. There's probably more than just that. Well, there is more than just them, but I see that.
So
that.
now what that doesn't mean is like, well, then no law enforcement. No, you separate your resources. We would eventually create something that's basically has a lot of the duties with the FBI, but ensure as we're creating it that it's more transparent and answerable to not just Congress and the Senate, but also to the American people, right? But as it is, the culture at the FBI is so corrupt that if you make little institutional change, even Durham said this. Durham said this in his report in the summary. He was like, listen, it's so bad that I don't even think it's a matter of like, you know, we'll suggest new rules, but unless the culture changes, it's irrelevant. They'll just find ways to circumvent it. And every time we find them doing it, they're just like, oh, our bad, we won't do it again. And then they do. And so at some point, they're like, there's a problem. It's not a matter of instituting a couple new rules or firing a couple of people. There's a problem, right? So there is a fine line, though, like, because I think I can see where you're coming from. Like, let's not just political systems. How about economic systems? You know, people want to do this. Well, there's a problem with capitalism. Sure, you're absolutely right. There is a problem with capitalism. Absolutely, right? So therefore, throw capitalism out? Well, no.
Like
right? Why would we do that? Like, it's the best system we have. But you just said there's problems. Yes, and we should strive to make, you know, to alleviate problems as best as possible. You know, so, you know, and where this goes with like your conversation of federalism, right, that we had here the other day or yesterday, I think, like, yeah, I mean, I think that the federalist system, we've got away from it largely. I think that we should, not just at the state government, but at the local government, give it more power. However, in this context, you might say, wait a minute, it seems like the MAGA people are the ones arguing against federalism right now because they're pissed off that a state like Illinois or a state like California will say, nope, you can't enforce the law here. Well, no, that's not what federalism is. Federalism doesn't say that if there are laws that we agree that the nation itself has control over, that the federal government gets to say like, nope. And for example, there was a, oh shit. I'll have to pull up my documents, but I was researching this for a Mormon debate. So like Joseph Smith, he predicts this sort of, let's see if I can find this. What would it be under? He predicts this like sort of great war that will start, and it's going to be in South Carolina, right?
I've heard that. I think I heard it on Andrew's debate with that one guy. I can't
was
remember his
helping
name.
Andrew prepare for this. Like, and so I'm going through these old newspaper clippings and what was going on. This wasn't an amazing predict. I'm not here to argue religion, or if you're a Mormon, I'm not shitting on you here. But
I'm not a Mormon.
It was not an amazing prediction because at the time there was a lot of infighting going on because there were these tariffs that the federal government had placed on certain things outside the country. And the farmers in South Carolina thought that it was screwing them over. So they were basically like, nah, no, we're not going to abide by this. Tough shit. We'll separate from the union. We're gearing up, man. We're raising a militia, right? So it doesn't come to that. But obviously at the time, you're looking at it and you're like, oh, this could be it. This could be a great civil war, right? And before the Civil War. Oh, you predicted the Civil War. And you said South Carolina and Fort Sumter. Yeah, but on a totally different issue years later, right? It wasn't on the issue that you were looking at the time. Nonetheless, when you see this is the idea of federalism in effect. It doesn't mean that South Carolina gets to say, well, you know what? We have agreed via our Constitution that the federal government has the ability to set foreign trade policy, and they've decided to employ these tariffs, but we as a state refuse to accept that. That's never been the intent. The intent was that we agree that there are powers, and we should try to have them limited of the federal government on certain issues. Economic trade policy with foreign countries seems to be one. Economic policy in general, like the power to print and coin money. Military protection. Yeah, that seems to make sense. The federal government doing it. Securing the border. Makes sense. Federal government doing it. Because what you don't want is, South Carolina to say, yep, we're okay with these Spaniards coming in right here. But the federal government, every other place to say, no, we don't think so. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
South Carolina, we say it's okay. You see the problem there. So now, when it comes to federalism, right, and it's like the idea that Democrats are trying to claim states' rights. They're not claiming states' rights. What they're claiming is they don't like Trump, and they don't like immigration enforcement, and they don't like the fact that the law says that we're allowed to enforce immigration and keep certain people out. So they're subverting the federal law, saying we should be allowed to as states. But that's one of the fundamental rights that we should all agree with, because we all have open borders in between the states. Imagine this. Imagine that, there is a sect of maniacs out there that live in fucking, I don't even know. Let's say they live in Argentina, and these maniacs are like, we're anti-trans. We will use the utmost physical violence against trans and every politician that supports them. And the state of Alabama says, come on in, bring your weapons. And the federal government's like, well, no, we've clarified them as a terrorist organization. Doesn't matter. We disagree in Alabama. We say you're welcome to come on in. Oh, and by the way, once you're here, you can freely travel to whatever state you want. But we accept you here in Alabama. There's no wall between Alabama and the rest of the states. Feel free. Go wherever you want. Now, as soon as those people say, thank you very much, we're on our way to California, right? What do you think the people of California are going to say? They're going to say, what the fuck? No. The state of Alabama doesn't get to decide that. That's fucking nonsensical. Of course not. Right? But that's sort of what they're arguing here. Well, we should have the right to say we don't accept the federal government's immigration enforcement. Nope. If the federal government says we don't want these people here and we're lawfully allowed to say they're here illegally and we're removing them, we disagree. So we say that they could be harbored in our state and you shouldn't be allowed to enforce federal law here. Fuck that. That's not federalism. Federalism is, the 10th Amendment says, anything not expressly said in the Constitution is the purview of the states. So
I agree with that.
Marijuana law, right? Does the Constitution say anything about marijuana? Nope. Okay. Should be up to the states. Simple.
And
that's the way
when I talk about this, I'm not saying the federal government doesn't have enough power. I actually think it's the opposite. I do agree a lot of the power needs to go back to the states, but when I hear people talk about that, it seems like a more like Confederate sort of stance where it's all states. Like, no, I don't know if that was, I might be misrepresenting, but where it's like all states, like we don't want the federal government at all anymore. I'm like, I don't know if that would work.
It certainly wouldn't, right? And that's sort of the Articles of Confederation. And we saw the problem. It quickly falls apart, right? Particularly now where we're, it's a misnomer to say we're more divided now than ever. I mean, I think it was pretty divided around the time of the Civil War. But we're certainly heavily divided now. And if you go back to a coalition of the states, what is there that would bring us together as a coalition? What's California have to do with Mississippi?
The only thing I could think of is the Constitution, nothing based on state.
But right, but if you shredded that and went back to sort of an Articles and what we saw with the Articles of Confederation, it was an absolute disaster, right? You had all these states that were printing their own money and they were manipulating the currency. One of the things I didn't know about this and started to look into it was you had this event called Shays Rebellion. And this was like sort of the final nail in the coffin for the Articles of Confederation, Shays Rebellion. So I'll read you. I'd written this up before, so I get a chance to read some of the stuff that. This is from a couple sources, a book I had and a couple other online sources. Shays Rebellion from 86 to 87 was a pivotal uprising in Western Massachusetts that exposed the weakness of the Articles of Confederation and galvanized the movement for stronger federal government. Led by Daniel Shays, a Revolutionary War veteran, the rebellion was a response to severe economic hardship, particularly among rural farmers burdened by debt and high taxes. It highlighted the Confederation's inability to maintain order and address economic grievances, underscoring the need for a robust national framework. Post-Revolutionary War economic distress included heavy debts and currency shortages hit Massachusetts farmers hard. The state imposed high taxes to pay war debts, often foreclosing on the farmers' properties they couldn't pay. Historian Leonard Richards explains, the farmers saw their livelihoods threatened by the government that seemed indifferent to their plight. In 1786, farmers began shutting down local courts to prevent foreclosures, culminating in armed confrontations. Shays emerged as a leader, rallying thousands to block the courthouses, and in January 87, attempted to seize the Springfield Armory. The Confederation Congress, lacking funds and authority, could not respond, leaving Massachusetts to have to raise a private militia. George Washington, alarmed by the unrest, wrote to Henry Knox in 1786, if the government shrinks or is unable to enforce its laws, anarchy and confusion must prevail. The uprising shocked the Founding Fathers, demonstrating the Confederation's inability to maintain domestic security or address economic crises. Madison noted in 87 Vices of the Political System, quote, the late turbulent scenes in Massachusetts have been a lesson of how necessary it is to keep the government armed with adequate power. Shays Rebellion became a rallying cry at the 87 Constitutional Convention, where delegates crafted a constitution granting the federal government authority to suppress insurrections and regulate economic policy. The rebellion's legacy was its role in exposing the fragility of the Confederation, convincing leaders like Hamilton and Madison that a stronger central government was essential. Historian Pauline Myers writes, Shays Rebellion was the catalyst, proving that the Articles could not be a republic. The Constitution's provisions for federal taxation and military powers directly addressed the issues highlighted by the rebellion, ensuring the government could prevent similar uprising and maintain stability. So, I mean, it sort of illustrates what you're talking about, like the idea, the idea of like, well, fuck it, we'll just be a loose confederation of states. We'll go back to that. Well, the problem with that was like, there's no power to enforce shit. Right. It would be super simple for a fucking for an insurrection to take over an individual state. Like, well, it's like playing a game of Risk and you didn't leave a lot of troops in this particular area. And it's like, fuck it, we'll take that over. Like, it's like, the economic policy was a disaster. So yeah, that's sort of, but I just thought I would read that because I thought about that yesterday when you called in. I was like, Shays Rebellion. That was just one of the problems. But that still doesn't dispute the idea that the Founding Fathers weren't saying, and so therefore one federal government and fuck the states. No, they weren't saying
it's
that.
A shared,
Correct.
It's like a shared sort of power.
Yes. So, and I do think we should get back to more state power. I think we have far too much. My problem is that the central power in U.S. politics is in the executive branch. And you say, so you're saying the president has too much power. No. Paradoxically, I'm saying he probably doesn't have enough. How can that make sense if I'm saying that the executive? Because it's not the president, it's the fucking bureaucrats. It's the people at the FBI, at the IRS, at the DOJ, at the EPA, at the State Department. They're the ones that really do shit. And if you question this, ask yourself this. How many decisions do you think Joe Biden was making in the last 4 years?
Probably
it's not him running
lot.
Shit. Now, it is true that Congress is fucking, the courts are becoming too powerful as well. But Congress is a joke. What do? Nothing. Like, they're supposed to be the power of the purse. They can't pass a fucking budget. They can't do anything.
I question if Biden was making any decisions at all, to be honest with you.
Well, that's just it. We were told that, like, it's so funny because like when someone uses the term the deep state, like what you're really saying is like there's these entrenched figures in the bureaucratic state that really run things and we don't get to vote for them. Hell, we don't even know who they are most of the time. And we're told that's crazy conspiracy theory shit. So then when you point out, well, Joe Biden's like mental failings, my goodness, his cognitive decline. The response that they'll give you is, yeah, but there's a bunch of other people that are running things.
That's
Right!
like that's like
That's
the average
exactly the
leftist
point.
response is yeah, but this, yeah, but that. I get
Right.
so tired of it.
Well, hey, Nate, I'm going to let you go. Be safe on the road out there. It's great to hear from you, and feel free to call back anytime, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me on, and I'll continue listening too. I
Thank
really
you.
do appreciate the insight. Stuff to think about, definitely. I'm gonna
thank
need to
you.
hear it again, but I'll rewind it.
We appreciate all of our truckers, so thank you so much, Nate. Really appreciate
All right,
it.
well, thank you, man. Y'all have a good one.
Take it easy. See, this
Bye.
thing always happens here where a bunch of people call in near the end of the show. So I gotta be fast here. Risen again. Thank you so much for the 5 memberships. Landed Man wearing $10 says car troubles always come at the worst time. Recently totaled mine and my son broke his femur. Oh man. My wife's cat got attacked by a dog and I got kicked out of my band. Holy shit. My goodness. I'm sorry, man, but it worked out. Well, man, that's crazy. And landed another $5 says my wife voted for Hillary before we met. She's not very political, but I've done a good job bringing her over to the dark side. Yeah, it's not. There's different levels of disagreeing politically, right? You could absolutely date someone, marry someone that's a Democrat if you're a Republican or vice versa. But if it's, hey, I think you should die because you're like Charlie Kirk. Yeah, I don't. Wi-Fi Gospel, $5 says, hey, Rob, sorry to hear about the accident. Make sure you talk to third-party estimator, get the most money for your car. I will do that. Thank you. Risen again. $2. Lesbaru Fund. Thank you. We're almost there. We're 64% of the way. We need what? $180. Someone will come through. $180. Letty, $5 says, have you considered asking your PSU friend about creating a left versus right by violence study? Oh, John Ward and those dudes out there. I don't know that that's sort of the things that they do. 1 second. And my wife's sending me pictures of Subarus that she wants to buy. You see? You see what's happening? Now it was me driving, and it was a male deer that I hit. So all men. All right, this next caller. I wonder. I don't know. Ducky, what's happening, sir?
Whoa, what's all the odds of that?
Oh, it is a Ducky I know in real life. What's up, man? How you doing?
Oh, not bad. You had born day at work, working from home, and just figured I'd give a call, see how it's going.
Well, I don't know if you saw, I smashed my car up last night, hit a deer.
Yeah, I seen that. I heard about that.
But then you just come on here and you're like, oh my goodness, I don't know what I'm going to do. And people send money. It's brilliant strategy.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, Chrysler 300s are really nice. All-wheel drive.
Oh, yeah?
Really nice styling cars. I had one.
Now,
really
listen,
nice.
I hope I'm not, spilling any beans here, but you were a former Tesla owner, and I think you've traded that in, right? What do you think?
Yep.
What do you think about the Tesla? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, honestly, I still have the wall charger and everything installed in the garage, so if you would go that route, I have you covered.
So if I'm ever up your way, I could
you
pull
can
in for a
have the damn
recharge,
thing.
grab a beer.
It's not even hooked up anymore. You can just have it.
No. I'd prefer to leave it at your house so I could just.
I'd be okay with that. You
Oh,
gotta beat
shit.
me in risk first.
Yes. Dude, we ought to have a risk. I forgot to respond to you. I would be totally down for poker night. I'm going to be real busy until January probably, and then things will. But I can tell you, like when I talk, I'm dealing with so many stuff behind the scenes. Basically, my wife nags me to death. That's the gist. No, I'm just kidding.
She stomps up the stairs.
I hear her yelling downstairs, dude. She's like,
"Hi, Courtney."
Oh man. So things been going good for you?
Oh yeah.
We think of all the left wing ICE riots. What do you think of that?
So that's my biggest thing is even with the government shutdown and everything and the leveraging of the American people being happening during the shutdown. What do you think is the root cause of them wanting illegal immigrants to have health care?
I think that they want it. It's the same reason that they want the illegal immigrants here. I think you could look at it in like this sort of like scholastic way, the Cloward Piven strategy, where they want to overwhelm our government with sort of the welfare system. In addition to that, they want to overwhelm with the immigration system and basically cause a displacement of like the native population. And no, my Native American friends, I'm not talking about you. And though you are part of that, I'm talking about the people that were born citizens in the United States here. And so the healthcare thing is what they want to do is they want to sort of go to this globalist system, in my opinion, and they want the end of borders and the end of a nation state. And so they won't tell you the truth, right? They let it slip sometimes. Like Chuck Schumer, there's that clip I play all the time going into the 2024 election, and they're like, oh, and ultimately we want to give a pathway to citizenship for all the people, not just the dreamers, but all the illegals. Right. And that's sort of the healthcare thing goes along with that. They're trying to encourage illegals to be here. They're giving them promises. They're giving them things. You'll remember during the primary of the 2020 presidential election, they asked, like, what was it, like some 15 or whatever Democrats that were on the stage, raise your hand if you think that you would give benefits to these illegals. They all raised their hands. And then none of them thought it should be a crime to cross the border illegally. That's because they view these people as better than Americans because they wanted to displace Americans. It's the same mentality, Ducky, that, like, how could you explain that in the UK, or even, hell, it even happens in the United States, we could put illegals up in these hotels for like $5,000 a week. Meanwhile, some dude that's struggling here that's an American citizen that needs temporary help, they won't send him $500 a month.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. No,
And that's because the truth is, the most obvious explanation is the true one, because they care about that illegal more than you. That's why. And the reason they care is because they want a displacement of the American people. They don't want people that are self-sufficient. They want people reliant on the government.
Yeah, and it's odd, that we're focusing, strictly on like the southern border too, and not really other borders. And that's why it kind of put me in the mindset of like, okay, like thinking the root causes and stuff like this and figuring out why, why don't they just send them through the proper channels and get them citizenships, and then they don't have to worry about all this. And then I started thinking, what else did this happen? And then I'm like, back when slavery started. I mean, it's a stretch, but I mean,
no, you're not wrong. You're absolutely not wrong.
And I mean, California and everybody, I mean, there isn't really that many skilled laborers out in California, especially not any that have a chance, because I mean, they get undercut all the time by crews, working cheaper. But
so there was this economist I like, Milton Friedman, right? I don't agree with him on everything, but he's a very brilliant man. And he basically makes this argument. He was for open borders, but he also is for zero welfare. And his argument's like, listen, if you're here and you're willing to work, you can make your own way, welcome. If not, hit the bricks. I don't care where you're born, right? Now, I don't agree with that entirety, but I understand what he's saying, right? And so it's like, when you say, well, listen, truth be told, there's a lot of people that don't want to work, right? Right, because the other part of the equation is we've created a system that basically allows people to sit on their ass.
Yeah.
Right? And so if you eliminated that, Americans aren't willing to do this job. Right, because you pay them to sit on their ass. If you take away their benefits and go, okay, man, now you're going to contribute or you get nothing, all of a sudden you'd be shocked at what people are willing to do. And I know you know this. It's like, living around here, that's the way it is. How many bums do we know that don't want to get a job? It's like, there's nothing wrong with you. Your ass is at the bar every day. Get your shit together.
Exactly.
Well, I don't want to fucking, what do you expect me to do? I'm going to go fucking work at the glass plant. That sucks for $13 an hour. Yeah, man, that is what you're going to do. If it means that you're not going to eat, you will do that.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah,
It's,
definitely.
to me, that's a precursor. It's both of these things simultaneously. Secure the border and then tell people, look, now there are these jobs open, get to work. Less welfare,
Exactly. And I mean, with the government shutdown and everything, I just kind of wonder how long before, some of these people would just say, screw it, I'm done. Even with the riots and protests with the police, like, where's their breaking point? I know if I was a cop and dealing with this on a daily basis, getting spit on and everything else, I'd be like, fuck it, I'm out.
Well, dude, I'll tell so Courtney has two dads. She's got her stepdad and her dad. Her dad's a cop, and I've talked to him about this. And I was like, "Yeah, you like being a cop? He loves it, right?" And I'm like, "Would you recommend like your son or your grandson be a cop?" He's like, "Absolutely not, never." Not because he's like, any of the positive of it is outweighed by the fact that you're treated like an absolute piece of garbage, and everyone hates you. And it's not just they hate you because they're giving you a traffic ticket. They hate you because they claim that just enforcing the law itself is racist. And at some point, you just throw up your hands. Yeah. They did all these studies. They called it the Ferguson effect. You remember Mike Brown, hands up, don't shoot?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So after that, what happened was you started to see crime rise in all these inner cities. But like the crime statistics weren't going up. right? It was just like the victims. So the national victim surveys were going up. Well, what was happening was cops were just like, fuck it. I'm not going into these inner cities. I'm just going to get accused of racism. So leave them to themselves. And they call that the Ferguson effect. Like, imagine you're just sitting in a cruiser. Oh, there's some shooting in in this, downtown area that is sort of like, oh, there it is. And you're like, yeah, I'm not going to go to that. Because no matter what, I'm the bad guy. I'm just going to sit in my cruiser,
Even if you do go, then and you do have to take action, then you just get criticized over the media and everything over your decision making. And it's just like, why? Why do that?
Well, and I mean, then they did studies. There was a black dude at Harvard who did this study. He was like a professor, and he assumed he was going to find that the data showed that unarmed black men were much more likely to be shot by cops than unarmed whites. And the truth is the opposite. And one of the big reasons is because the cops always got to be second guessing anytime they enforce the law against a black person, because there could be an accusation of racism. Yeah. No one gives a shit if it's some dude that looks like me or you, and it's like the cop, we're drunken and the cop slams our ass to the ground and handcuffs us. It's like, should have been drinking on the street there, buddy. But you do that to a person of color. Now all of a sudden, some lawyer's going to be like, I'll take the case. We'll sue this fucking cop. We'll sue this police force. Even though it's like, so why deal with it? You just say, fine. Then why even go to that neighborhood to risk it? To have my one wrong decision in the moment of, batting an eye, and my life's ruined. So why bother? Let him go. And the irony is, like, as usual, and by the way, this is interesting. We're talking about this. I don't know if you saw this. Did you see that, like, the Trump Justice Department's going after two of the founders of Black Lives Matter for stealing like $19 million?
I didn't see that.
Yeah, they broke that yesterday. So, but why risk it? You're going to go there and your life's going to be ruined. And for what? And so, as always, these policies that are pushed by these people actually have the exact opposite effect. It's making life worse for black people in the inner city. It's like the problem's not lack of policing. You might say that they need more training and that there's things that need to be adjusted. But my goodness, the idea that in these gang-ridden neighborhoods, the answer is to take the police out. Good luck.
Look at Pittsburgh. I mean, we have 16-year-olds shooting each other. And it's just like, come on.
Dude, people don't understand. Like, I remember like 15, 20 years ago, they would do these, like, magazines would like do this, like, best cities in America to live to. Pittsburgh was always near the top of the list. It's not the worst city, don't get me wrong, but it is incredible how it's rapidly declining.
Yeah.
It's shocking. It's up to, and I know, this, a mutual friend of ours, like, works for, doing some audio visual work for folk up there. And it's fucking, like, just to, like, witness it, to be out filming and like, holy shit, what is happening here?
Yeah, exactly.
Or some of the dumb stuff, it's like you see these things occur. You remember when it was like, they were like, we're no longer had police on the force. We're going to have like 10 police for the entire city of Pittsburgh after midnight because we have to cut budgets. Like, this was something that they're like, well, we'll try to do.
But it's
like
a gun-free zone.
Right. And then meanwhile, it's like, so what, Mayor Gainey, what are you up to, man? Like, well, this bridge is racist. Oh, my fucking God. What are you talking about? It's just one joke after another. Well, hey, Ducky, it's been great talking to you, man.
Yeah,
hopefully
definitely.
we'll hang out soon for real.
I'll end this on, I got Wii Sports, and I've been practicing tennis. And I have a grudge to pick still.
Listen, I will tell, if you guys tuned in, I told you this story about the first time I met my wife, and I kicked her out of the house. Here's the story. Me and a friend of mine were playing, like, we were in a fucking, like, 36-hole marathon of Wii golf, like, drinking, playing. And these girls come in, and they're basically like, what's this shit? Who are you? And we're like, yeah, we live here. We're playing this. You're old. We don't like you. And I got pissed at these girls. I was like, every girl get the fuck out of the house. Now, my wife, who obviously wasn't my wife at the time, who I'd never met, was in the kitchen with other people, but I just assumed all the girls came together, so I kicked her out. That friend of mine was Ducky, that was playing Wii golf. That was us.
Oh, yeah. Never dull moment.
Was there the first day I met my wife, kicking her out of the house, but it worked out. So there's full circle for my audience. It's like, is that story real? Yes, Ducky was there. Yeah. He was the person playing. So good shit though. But we'll have to. I'll challenge you to some Wii golf soon. Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is not the guy's floor I peed on. No, that's not. Though that may have happened some other time. I don't know.
Oh. Yeah, it's hard to tell about the gun club or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, man. All right, Ducky, man. We'll talk soon, man. It's always a pleasure.
Yep, same.
All right. Yeah, Ducky's one of my best friends. He's a great dude. We're both like fathers. That's so weird. Like, I don't know why they would leave either of us walk out of the hospital with a kid, but they did. And I think we're both happy fathers. So, no, he's a great dude. And that's what I'm talking about. Like Ducky's one of my redneck friends from back here. We might be dumb rednecks, but you know, we have some common sense. We be talking about stuff. Mangozi, $10 over on Rumble. Thank you. Says, just paying a bet. I lost a chair. This rub guy's pretty cool. Up, Mangozi. Thank you so much. And then unbelievably, Flavius. Unbelievable. $100 over on Rumble. It says, if you find the deer, you get to keep the antlers. You're damn right. And I'm going to put the word out. If someone finds an 8-point laying around, I'm getting those antlers mounted to the death of my Subaru, the best. Thanks so much, Flavius. Always incredibly generous. Thank you so much. Over on the YouTube side of things, James A. Fish says first, it's James A. Fish. Oh, I got it. Nice. Without even looking, and then says second, gifted a membership and will be re-upping at the end of the month. Thank you, James. Appreciate it. Really do. And Lysol Operator, thanks so much. That's $5. Rob, I don't know how you keep a poker face during your debates with people like Craig. Keep up the great work. Thank you. I appreciate it. Really do. All right. We're at 69% on YouTube, which is fun. That's funny. I'll give you that. But it'd be nice to get to 100% of our goal. And I know what you're thinking. Didn't you just read a bunch of chats over at Rumble? Shh. We're going to pretend those didn't come in. Shh. And besides, if we're really being honest, $500 on YouTube, if I'm trying to pay a $500 deductible, as you know, after YouTube takes a cut and the tax man, blah, 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 blah. So we're just going to pretend. But thank you guys. Everyone's so generous today. Let's get to the next caller. Reality Strikes. What's up, man? I only have like maybe 4 or 5 minutes.
No
What's
problem.
happening?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great. Having a really good day. Excited to go trick-or-treating with my son tonight. So
Excellent. Well, I was just listening to your previous conversation. You guys were talking about how things have kind of gotten backwards with law enforcement and criminals. And there's a YouTuber named Dr. Steve Turley. I don't know if you've heard of him.
I have heard of him. Yeah.
He's done some wonderful videos breaking this down, and he's identified as what they call anarcho-tyranny.
Yes.
Where law-abiding citizens are treated as criminals because they're promoting a system that is fundamentally unjust, while the criminals are actually victims because they are victims of the corrupt system. And I find that extremely fascinating that we have gotten to this point in our culture about that. And
it's absolutely. I talk about this a lot. One of my favorite books is the Gulag Archipelago by Solzhenitsyn. He's talking about the Bolsheviks and sort of how the Soviets were throwing all these people in prison. And one of his famous quotes is like, for the thief to have a knife was merely misunderstanding, but for you to have it was terrorism. In other words, the actual criminals are let go. Oh, they can't help it. Oh, every excuse in the book given for them. But for you, you have to wade through this bureaucratic state, and any one false step and they'll press you as hard as possible. So you'll find these situations where you see these monsters that are left out 30, 40 times until they finally go murder someone in a high-profile case, and then everyone's shocked at the guy that murdered Irina. Oh my goodness, we left him out 46 times with all these felonies and violence before. Who would have thought that he would go out and commit another act of violence? We're shocked. Meanwhile, if you're Daniel Penny, the guy that sees violence on the subway, they're looking to throw your ass in prison for the rest of your life. And it's not even that. Like you could make some slight misstep. Look at the people, how about Douglas Mackey, the guy who puts a meme up on X about, hey, make sure you go vote next Thursday. They threw his ass in prison. And it is, anarcho-tyranny is the absolute correct words, right? It is tyrannical. It is people, they want anarchy where the lawless could do whatever they want. But the tyranny portion of it is not you. You don't get to fight back. You don't get to do what you want. It is a two-tiered system, and you are the enemy. And the people that are the worst of society are the allies. They're out there intentionally destabilizing these communities. And it's certainly intentional. It certainly is.
Oh, that's their end goal, is to upset the what they view as the capitalist oppressive system.
It's unbelievable. It really is.
But
really,
thanks for taking my call.
Yeah,
Let's get to some other callers.
It's a great point, and I'm glad you brought it up. So feel free, call in any day, man. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, you have a good one. All right. That was an excellent call, and we're still at 69%. And I know I always hate to get to 69% of the goal because I know everyone's like, I don't want to be the one. I don't want to be the one to change the goal. But don't leave degeneracy win. Get those donos in. Next up, we got Hello.
Hello.
How you doing today?
I'm fine. I was going to
Good.
give you a deer story straight out of Deliverance.
There you go. Go for it.
I was coming up from Florida, and you have to go I-75 through Tennessee.
Yep.
And the truckers out there, I know where this is at, but there's this area called Jellicoe Mountain. And I topped over coming around that curve there, and it's kind of blind, and it had been raining. It was foggy. It was like 3 a.m. And I hit 4 deer.
Holy cow.
Popping around. And as my car was spinning around, I hit a 5th deer that had actually popped out while I was in. And so the state troopers, everything came and everything, because this was a dangerous situation. It was right in the middle of I-75. It could have caused more accidents. Luckily, it didn't. And while we were, he was processing the scene and they were getting the wrecker out there and everything, this truck pulls over, and it's this man, and he said to the state trooper that was standing there, he said, "You mind I take them deer?"
Yeah.
And that state trooper is like, "Well, no, go ahead," and everything. So him and his son gets out of the truck, and they're piling this deer in the back of his truck. Well, my husband told him, said, well, there was a 5th deer that actually jumped up and ran away. It was the 5th one I hit. And he told him, he said it looked to be a 12 to 14 point duck. He's buck.
Wow.
So they actually pulled their truck over to go hunt this deer.
Nice.
So, and also I had another thing to tell you about Pittsburgh.
Okay.
I was raised, my father actually had domesticated deer farm, kind of thing and stuff. And so he would deal with certain vendors around the U.S.,
Okay.
We were in Montana, but anyway, he had a vendor that was in Pittsburgh, right outside of Three River Stadium there.
All right, yeah.
And long story short, the driver of the refrigerated truck, because the man that ordered the deer meat wanted it fresh because his customers didn't know he wasn't dealing in beef. He was actually dealing in deer, and his sandwiches were the best in town. But anyway, we got there and we delivered the meat. This is a long time ago, so
okay. Well, Three River Stadium, yeah, that's a blast from the past. So yeah.
Yeah, it was in the 70s. But anyway,
okay, yeah.
Terry Bradshaw was the name at that time.
Yeah, sure.
And anyway, my dad looks at him and tells him, said, "Is there anywhere safe we can stay for the night?" Because he had me and my other brother with me and everything. He's like, "Sure." He said, "We have room up above the shop here, We went up there to that room, and I kid you not, it was wall-to-wall money.
Really?
When I say wall-to-wall money, there was also this strong smell of ink.
Oh, no.
And I went over to touch, and everything. And my dad smacked my hand. He said, "Do not touch that." And he said, "You don't see a thing."
Right.
And as we were leaving, I could tell you the name, but I'm going to let you guess. You already know it's an Italian name, but
could have guessed.
Yeah. He pats my dad on the back and he said, "Remember, you didn't see a thing." My dad said, "See what?"
Yes, that's right.
Just walked off, and my dad always told us, never speak about it, never nothing. These people are long gone now. Even my dad is passed, and he was even older than my dad. So I know it's,
What a different time, though. That's such a cool story.
Yeah. I thought you would get a kick out of that. But
that's awesome.
Wall to wall. When I say wall to wall money. And my dad told us, said, "They know every dime that's in here. Do not touch a thing."
That's an awesome story. Well, hello. Thanks so much. I appreciate those stories. That's great. Look at that. You met a mobster and a bunch of awesome rednecks cleaning up the street, like using those deer. I'll guarantee they used every last piece of that deer too. Guarantee it.
Yes,
So.
they did.
All right. Hey, hello. We'll talk soon. Thanks so much as always. Appreciate it.
All right. Bye.
All right, we'll see you. Reality Strikes that just called in. Thank you so much. $50 says here's 10% of your deductible. Thank you so much. And it cut us off the schneid of the 69%. Look at that. If we get 2 more people to donate $50, we'll basically be at our goal. All right, next up. This guy is a real miscreant. This guy, I'm just kidding. Our friend JS. What's up today, JS? How you doing?
I am a miscreant.
Yeah. I thought that's like one of those words you could call someone to insult them that no one's offended by. It's like, yeah, miscreant. Yeah, that's not bad.
A little bit of a miscreant.
Yeah. So what's on your mind today, man?
I wanted to wish you a happy Christian Halloween.
Thank you. I accept that. Yes.
You know about the Christian origins of Halloween and the...
I will let you tell me. I will say this. I'm vaguely like 10% familiar. So it would be me making up a bunch of stuff if I tried to say it, but I am aware of this. So go ahead, lay some truth on us.
It's Hallowtide. It's All Hallows Eve, All Saints Day, and All Souls Day. And there's a lot more historicity to it with the Christians. The pagans will say it's Samhain, but they'll also say Christian is Samhain. And so they always trying to say we're stealing their holidays, but actually there's more historicity to it being our holidays, and they're taking ideas from us and trying to use our dates. But yeah, I didn't want to go too deep into it, but
no, it's interesting because it's one of those things. There is a general conversation to be had where it's like, as a Christian, how much do you participate in things that you think are outside the scope of that? And certainly, like what Halloween has become, right? Regardless of what its origins are, I can see a lot of Christians saying like, no, I don't want to participate in that. Counterpoint to that, like one of the most fun I've seen my son have in a long, long time was Halloween party at his school last week. He had a blast. All the kids dressed up. It was really cool. And there was nothing nefarious there. It's a Catholic school. Like it was very much like, you know, nothing, no woke crap, no like horrible, scary, like bloody things or anything like that. So you know,
it's good for our culture that we have these days and we use them to teach kids so that they can remember things. And
correct.
And we should teach them the Christian origins. Of course, Halloween now is a capitalist, American, degenerate, let's get drunk and dress up like nasty women.
Right, right. That's what I'm saying. It's so like, that's what it is. Like, Halloween to a lot of adults is like, I'm going to see some scantily clad ladies tonight. Like, it's like, yeah, you probably are. And 80% of the ones you're going to see are moms that are going to have to explain someday, you know, these pictures to their grandchildren. Like, what were you doing, grandma? Like, you know, but yeah, it's interesting. I'm looking forward to tonight, though, trick-or-treating. Hank's going to meet another little guy that he doesn't know. And I think they're gonna have a lot of fun, those two traveling around. So I'm looking forward to it. There's gonna be if you're out near the Pittsburgh suburbs and you see a T-Rex stomping around, it's probably just my son tonight. On the hunt for it. His favorite candy is Nerds. So he's not a chocolate man. He likes the Nerds. So that's what he's really hoping to get. So but hey, I do got to get running. I am though. Everyone, JS, I talked to JS a lot over on Speakeasy's Verbal Combat show, so I got his link out there. Please go over and check out his show. I think that you will not be disappointed. I'll probably see you on some Friday here coming up. Are you doing Verbal Combat tonight?
Yeah, well, it's costume night. My uncle Juicy Stay Strapped, he's gonna join Verbal Combat.
Oh, Juicy Stay Strapped.
Quick, before we go, that debate I watched with you recently, that guy said, well, I've never heard of a black supremacist. I've never heard of one. There's a group called the NFAC, I think you cuss on your show, right? Yeah. The Not Fucking Around Coalition.
Yeah.
And it's but
the Nation of Islam. Like
there's a bunch of
Israel. Yeah, I mean, what a joke. These people.
That was a perfect example, by the way, but there's a lot of other, even more not religious based, way more radical ones.
Yeah.
So
he knows it. They're just full of shit. Gerrymandering's violence, but black supremacy doesn't exist. There
Yeah.
you go. That sums it up. So,
Yeah.
Jets, always great to
All
hear
right.
from you, man. Have a good time on the costume party tonight. Now, yeah, we'll talk soon.
Yep. Later.
Take it easy. So, all right, we got one more caller and then one more. We got one more crack at getting to the goal of 500. You guys could do it. You really, of course, Black Panthers in the 80s. Last caller today. Premonition, how you doing today? It's great to hear from you.
Hi, dear. Yeah, I totally understand about the not picture thing. I want to tell you something very, very quickly. I'm in northern Nevada, Tahoe area.
Okay.
Below Carson. We have wild horses everywhere. And my son, the gamer, at night, he works for the state. And it happens.
You bump into a horse, yeah.
Well, and when he woke up after,
knocked him out. Wow.
The guy in the window, the guy poking his head in the car window, told him first, he said the horse did not suffer. He said it was instant. And he said, don't go look for it. And
right.
And
that's tough. That's tough.
It was really, it's bad, and it happens here. But people are very careful about it. But it was at night. He didn't see it. It gave him PTSD. He still suffers from that because everything he sees
sure
makes it break and swerve and all of that. So I get it. And
a horse it's a far more serious animal too than a deer. Like a horse is big.
It went up and over, like you said. It went up and in and then slid off somehow.
Well, my prayers to him, man. Yeah. That's terrible. And it is like anytime. Listen, I eat meat. I've shot deer, right? But I'm not a fan, like in all seriousness, all joking aside, like I try not to, no matter what animal, not to harm or kill any animal that's unnecessary.
No, he's not a hunter. Yeah, it killed him. But it's good that the man told him.
Sure.
And the man said, don't even look. I took care of it. I mean, he didn't take care of it, but he assessed it and told my son, just stay here. And then the authorities arrived, and he went on his way. But it was bad.
That's terrible.
Sorry.
Oh, no. Thank you. I will say this, like, not to belittle the story. I had no idea that there were wild horses that frequent in northern Nevada. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh no, it's so much fun because they come up in people's yards and they in your lawn, they eat your grass. They're all over the place. But they are all over the place. So on some of the main highways, they do have fences. They got smart and finally built fences along the highways to keep the horses.
Right. Well, hey, Premonition, thank you so much. I really always appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you. We will.
And hug the wife. You're beautiful. She's beautiful.
Thank you.
Hug the baby. Hug the dog.
I definitely will. Thank you. We'll talk soon. Thank you so much. All right. What a good show. Now, King Jaffe Joe, $2 says, just showing support, not one step back against the degenerates. Thank you. All right. So there will be no more shows for me this evening. I'm going to try to do a call-in show tomorrow, though I can't make any promises. I don't know what time we'll be getting back from my friend's house. And then we do have a get-together in the evening tomorrow. So if I do stream tomorrow, it'll be sometime between the times of noon and 4 p.m., and it will just be a weekend call-in show. But I won't be doing a show tonight. So unfortunately, now that's not true, actually. If I remind myself, I did tell my friend Tony over at Hello Listener, I did tell him that I'll try to do a quick mobile stream to instruct people to go over to his channel. So I might do that real quick tonight for like 10, 15 minutes, like 9 o'clock at night. I might do a quick stream just like, what's up, everyone? Here's the haul that my son got, Candy. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. But no, you guys are incredibly generous. Thanks to all my callers. Thank you to everyone that donated on all the platforms. Thank you to Spiro for helping me with tech issues. My editor, Black Elk, who's amazing. Thank you so much for all of the support from my mods. Everyone who liked the stream. If you haven't liked it yet, please do that on whatever platform you're on. You guys are the best. Now, yesterday, we were shocked and amazed that someone in the outro donated $100. So can someone donate $5 real quick? I got like 2 minutes before I leave. And if you donate $5, I wouldn't be surprised if we're once more shocked and amazed that someone will donate $100 and it'll get us to our goal. Bring some grifting music in. Oh, okay. We'll turn some grifting music on slow. Look at this. I could even do this. StreamYard. I forgot. Wow. Yeah. How about that? Wow. Huh? Wow. And then let's we'll turn it down.
This is the robnoerr show. It's not the Rob show.
Yeah, how's that for grifting music?
This is my favorite show.
Look at that. We'll get. Oh, look at that. Premonition says $5. Thank you. And Naughty Germ $5. There we go. Now we know. During the outro, we're gonna have someone that's gonna donate $100. I feel it. Someone's gonna donate $100. We're gonna get to this deductible. Oh, my Ducky needs a chair. Here, I'll give you a chair for a minute. Chair, make your final plea. Chair was actually best friends with my Subaru that just got totaled. Old Joe, yes, they did total the car. It's a total loss. So we don't know what the value they'll put in it yet is, but Chris Elmer, $5. Thank you. Sniper Killer, $5 says did around 200 yesterday. Fuck it, here's $5. Thank you. You've been incredibly generous, Sniper. Thank you. And Wicked Wally, our resident dad joke expert, $5 says, I once saw an infomercial from a grifter preacher selling the biblical guide to finances. I'm still mad he didn't call it Latter-day Saint. Oh, goodness. All right. Here we go. We're going to end the stream because I do have to go pick up my son. And if I'm late, he'll be big mad. But $80 will do it. Someone donates $80 or $100, we'll make the goal. I know, just like yesterday, someone's going to do it during the outro. Thank you all so much, for real. From the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate it. And my wife does as well. I know she does. So I'll keep you updated on our future car search. In fact, I might even come to you with suggestions. We'll put some of the cars we're looking at on the screen, and you guys could critique. Maybe that's something fun that we'll do next week. So thank you all so much. Really appreciate all of you. Please keep the memory of Charlie Kirk in your mind, and God bless him and his family. And if you're out there and you donate $100 like yesterday, I'll make sure they get that donut up on the screen during the outro. But thank you. Oh, shit. Look at that. Oh, man. Sniper Killer, $100. What an absolute legend. Says, just want to say hi quick in Discord if you can, man. I'll try my best. I got like 30 seconds. I got to leave at 2:30 to pick up my son. But I'll try. I'll head over to Discord. Thank you all so much. We'll see you soon. As always, have a...
Only in America is it possible to say, you know what, I don't like the way the country is going, and to do something about it. Take that risk. Take that leap of faith. Stay involved. Trust God and act obediently. Romans 12:2 verse. That God will use all things for good for those who love him. It's bigger than you. I want you to remember that. It is bigger than you. It's bigger than me. You are here to make somebody else's life better, the pursuit of liberty and freedom. You know what gives me strength? The hundreds of thousands of you that say, Charlie, keep going. 1 Corinthians 5 and 15. So that's all pretty amazing evidence, not just intra-biblical evidence, but extra-biblical evidence that Jesus Christ was a real person. He lived a perfect life. He was crucified, died, and rose on the third day, and he is Lord and God of all.